Grim bloke. Yeah. And then, yeah, bruv. Yeah, bruv. In it. Grim bloke. Let me tell you about this one time. I went through a porthole and snuck into the North Pole and got picked up in a Hyperborean DeLorean. They said they knew I was a Webster Merriam historian, mastered a numerical Gregorian, the hysterical mystic, no more than a Pythagorean, conspiracy theory Therium in the etheric fear realm. I thought they were gonna take me to the crematorium in their Hyperborean DeLorean. Tested me on my Sumerian, Shakespearean, knew I was a numerical vegetarian, Aquarian, that I knew about the Tartarians, barbarians, Mars radium, aliens. Salt of the earth, solution Selenian. Spent the night in a Hyperborean chamber. I looked around and thought, bruv, who hired the painter? Hyperborean memoriam, auditorium, all cause I got picked up in the Hyperborean DeLorean. Introducing all love.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Invisible diamond minerals, crystal.
Can we get a thumbs up in the chat?
Interdimensional realms are scrapping Catherine, Bahamas, Azores, Atlantis shores, mountains, temples, marble floors, sea floors, treasure and cities lost. Yeah, bruv, in it. Oh, sphinxes, pyramids and minotaurs, fruit grown in grove luxuriant. In it, inhabitants intelligent.
Thank you, Maggie. Thanks, Sojo.
Horizon beyond them. Flatten sky like a fire. Core and flora, but bright. Comets, tornadoes, turbulence, not prohibition. More, not forbidden. Thought expansive, places massive. In it. Yeah, bruv. In it. Oh. Just hanging around.
We just hanging around.
Yeah. Telling stories in the Hyperborean DeLorean. Grim bloke. Jack bruv. In it. Just hanging out around. Oh, Jack bruv. 88892. If you didn't know, now you're forever exploring an interdimensional historian, moratorium. Just hanging around till the stars in the Hyperborean DeLorean.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, JS Entertainment. We appreciate you.
Just hanging around.
Welcome back, ballers, to another episode of Eye to Eye with AJ, Rambo, and Cody. First episode, starting an hour earlier, kinda. I know we were a little late, guys. Thank you for your patience. We appreciate you all very, very much. Sound check, mic 212. Rambo, can you hear me okay, my friend?
I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother. Cody?
Very good.
Yep, I can hear you, and hopefully you can hear me.
I can hear you, brother. Loud and clear. Sounds like we're all good to go. Thank you guys so much for all the compliments. Sujo, Mr. S, Susan, Enthused Dreams. Good to see all of you guys. We got a packed house, and hopefully, right, you know, the reason we wanted to start these shows earlier is hopefully to give people a little bit more of a bandwidth to join our live stream. So welcome back, everybody. We appreciate you all very much. Without further ado, we're gonna dive right into this. And before we do that, my name is AJ, also known as Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. Here's my information. I have a patreon.com/onthemoneyball when it comes to my codes with regards to sports picks. You guys can also find the books that I've written over the years on the Patreon for purchase, or I can always send them to you for free at wordplaybook3osinbook@gmail.com. Cody, if you wouldn't mind just letting the audience know a little bit more about yourself, for those that don't know you, which I know is rare, and where people can find you and what you're working on.
Yeah, thanks again, AJ, for throwing this, and thanks, Rambo, for being here with us, and thanks everyone in the chat for also being here. And if you guys want to find me, you can find me over on my YouTube channel, as usual, at Decoding with Kodi. That's where
I'm sorry, Kodi. I think you cut out for a brief second there. You okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. My whole screen went black, so I must have cut out. All right. So I don't know what you guys missed, but everything you see there on the screen is how you can find me, Decoding with Kodi. Buy me a coffee / Decoding with Kodi. Mr. says I'm going to hit 25K by the end of the year. Next year. Oh, maybe. I mean, right now they got me stuck on 15.3, and I think it's for a reason. It's really weird. I've never been stuck so long on a number.
That's my birthday.
It's all about that 17 thing. And your birthday, right? 153 is the 17th triangular. So, yeah, anyways. But thank you guys for tuning in and looking forward to having fun with you all tonight.
We appreciate you, Kodi. Always a blessing to have you in our corner every week. And, yeah, Rambo, please. You have the floor.
Yeah, I'd like to second what Kodi said. Thanks again for putting this together. And thanks to Kodi for his contributions as well. And I can be found at patreon.com/thetruthcodes. There's only one tier. It's $5 a month. You can subscribe for free. There's a little bit of free content, but for $5 a month, you get all the content and access to the Codebreaker community Discord server where you can see and share your own decodes if you want. Great decodes it's a great community of decoders on the server for $5 a month. And I'm also at Instagram.com/thetruthcodes.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Ever since I've joined that Patreon, it's kind of almost overwhelming at times because there's so much good information that it's, I could spend a whole day in there. And, so your community is fantastic, Rambo.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's a lot of contributions. I appreciate them.
Definitely. So I guess to kick things off, Kodi, Rambo, I kind of gave you the back of the book summary on what I wanted to kick tonight's show off with. And it really just has to do with the name of the show. Rambo, you and I had a different name for our weekly, stream before Kodi jumped on. And I thought that title was a bit long. So we crunched it down to Eye to Eye, right? And it just made me start thinking more about the symbolism with the title of that name, and just the timing of us changing the time of this show. And I think that it's a beautiful synchronicity, so to speak. So, as I try to make different images as much as I can. But when you guys think about this, we have two eyes in our head, right? And as we know, we have one in our forehead, essentially, right? The third eye, so to speak. So when I think about eye to eye, it could almost be like three eyes, right? Well, even though my name is Balll Don't Lie on YouTube with 3 L's in Ball, it does kind of look like three eyes, doesn't it? Right? So right off the bat, I was like, that's kind of interesting. And for those that have been following our show for a while now, you guys may recall that we have talked about Donnie Darko quite some time. Even dove deep into a story with LeBron James, who hit Isaiah Stewart, number 28 with the Pistons, etc. But notice that this is episode 28, right? And in Donnie Darko, 28 is a big number. There's 28 days remaining in that movie. And sure enough, eye to eye equals 28 as well. So I thought that was interesting. And it makes me think, too, about Meet the Parents. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but if you haven't, not a big deal. But I'm sure you guys have seen or been told this before at some point in your life. I am watching you. I am watching you, right? And the whole hand gesture that kind of goes with it, right? Pointing at your two eyes and then pointing back with your one finger to the other person, right? And I've done some other streams titled I Love You, and I've thought more about there's I owe you, there's I love you. So there's a connection with the I and the O and the you, right? And I had this kind of look in the mirror moment where notice that when you point at your eyes like that, it's almost like a Y, right? It's like a Y, and then I'm pointing at you, and it makes me think about like, why you? right? It's kind of this like the game of life. Why you? What makes you stand out? Why are you here? Right? What are we doing here? What is this place? Like Rambo says often, and you know that's kind of why we're all here, right? There we go. So for those that haven't seen Meet the Parents, not a big deal, but just think about parents, right? When two people come together and are parents, they become one when they have a child, right? And you have a pair of eyes, right? Parents, two eyes make a pair. And, you know, with that, two people become three people, technically, right? So it kind of goes back to that 1, 2, 3 connection. And lastly, I guess just in closing here, it made me think about eye to eye also equals 21, kind of like how the 2I at the end of the title kind of looks like a 21, right? It's just a thumbnail from those themes of I owe you and I love you that were kind of synchronizing as I was building these slides. But I've got my eyes on you. I owe you. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit at this point, but I apologize. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so the last two things, just notice that time equals 25, right? That's a big number that Rambo has touched on a lot this year. Time equals 20 and 25. So here we are changing the time of our show. First episode being on the 25th day of the month in the year 25, which I thought was really interesting. And I'll close it here with this. And Rambo, I sent this to you. This is kind of a double dip here because I was never familiar with this musician, but his name's Jelly Bean. Reminds me of, you know, Kobe Bean Bryant. His father is Jelly Bean Bryant, right? But The Time, I guess he was in a band called The Time. And this released in between the bookends of last episode and this episode, right? So that's where it popped off. So anyways, hopefully you guys were able to follow me a little bit on that. I know it was a little sporadic, but just wanted to share with you guys some of the things I was thinking about as we're adjusting the time of the show. So any thoughts on that, you guys?
I think that's some pretty significant, I guess you could call it organic. We didn't plan to do this on the 25th, considering what I've said about 25 and how it's so significant in Back to the Future. Back to the Future starts with all the clocks turned 25 minutes behind. And like you said, time equals 25. I'm just amazed. Not the most mind-blowing, but still, it is it's interesting how you could call it the matrix works, the organic matrix, how we do the time change on the 25th. So yeah, in that respect, yeah, it's pretty.
And we just had daylight savings, right? Not too long ago. So like this whole time thing is continuing as the year closes out. Cody, anything else on your end?
Yeah, just like Rambo said, it is interesting that, I mean, we talked about it 2 weeks ago and then forgot to change it last week, and then it happened on this day. So I don't think it's a coincidence. And again, with what I've been finding with myself, this past week, Sean's really been hitting me down with a bunch of crazy stuff on my end. So yeah, I mean, it's just really interesting how these things happen and when they happen on time, and just like what happened last week with me and that number 17 thing. So I think that was perfect timing again, because I think that was meant to do that day. So it was I haven't found another one like that since, and it's going to be hard to find another alignment with a player like that to have something like that happen. So well, actually, it kind of did repeat this week. Number 17 for the Rams.
Puka.
What's his name? Adams.
Adams.
He was 17 weeks old on Monday Night Football, and he caught 2 touchdowns. So number 17 caught 2 touchdowns. He was 17 weeks old. So there's something with that. When a player is landing on this 17, it seems significant. Remember last week, that guy was 1,700 weeks exactly when he scored his goal, and it was 17 triangular days before his next birthday. So anyway, I just going back to how this stuff works, it really is crazy. And as far as the time thing, we know that we're heading up on Super Bowl 60. So that's the clock, 60 minutes. And
yeah, and it made me think a little bit too, after my stream with Myron yesterday. Think about this. the debate with LeBron James right now, right? Is LeBron going to retire after this year? And there's a lot to be said about, well, King equals 41 and 23. So King James could retire in his 23rd season wearing number 23, right? And 41 being a big number there. But shout out to Golden Age Deception. Think about this, you guys. Next year is the year of the horse. The year after that is the year of the goat, right? And I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan retired in a goat year. And if he were to go another 2 seasons after this, he could retire after 25 seasons, a quarter of a century, right? And LeBron James, for a while now, he's even done commercials facing off against Father Time, right? People saying that time is undefeated. Well, LeBron's given Father Time a good run for his money. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I really thought that was interesting, especially with so much what I've learned from Rambo this year about time in 25. You know, it could make a lot of sense for LeBron to wrap up his career after 25 seasons being the one to defeat Father Time, essentially, you know.
I mean, it is interesting too, because right now, this whole year, I believe they chose, this just goes back to how perfect Rambo's been calling this with the 25, but why do you think that it was chose this year for John Cena to finish and to be all about the last time? He's walking around the whole year wearing the last time is now. So he's been, this time thing has been all over John Cena all year. And no, he didn't wrestle for 25 years. This is his 23rd year, which is interesting because that's LeBron's number. Mm-hmm. So, well, it was his number now isn't 6 or 23, it was Jordan's number. But yeah, his professional debut was in 2002. So, yeah, it's been 23 years, and we had some interesting alignments with Sirius yesterday, actually, that we might get to later. But I think I'll let Rambo share his stuff. But me and Sean found a crazy connection with Sirius and Jim Carrey and the movie 23 connecting to yesterday, and Christian McCaffrey, who did score a touchdown yesterday, like I thought, because of this 23 connection. But there's some crazy connections yesterday, and there was a dog shot, and it was perfectly in line with what Sean's been saying about the beast in Revelation being kind of connected to Sirius, because in Revelation 13 or 13:3 or 1, what is it? It's 1:3:3. That's all I know. But anyway, I'll show later maybe that what Sean's been showing me with that. But there's definitely some serious stuff. And remember, Back to the Future, he says this baby hits 88 miles per hour. We're going to see some serious stuff. And yeah, yesterday was a huge 88 connection as well. So anyway, that's just kind of a precursor to what I might touch on later.
Yeah, well, Cody, you just reminded me. I haven't, I've been seeing it more. I just haven't really talked to anybody about it. You mentioned there was a dog story that was shot yesterday.
Yes, and yeah, well, just to make this simple connection before we get too deep, there was a canine, an actual dog shot during a police thing on the 23rd, right? Like the number 23 movie. Well, the dog was in Burbank.
Okay.
And what is Truman's last name in
Burbank.
Truman Show? Burbank. Well, and then Jim Carrey played in the 23 number. Well, in that movie, the doctor that he's looking for is Sirius Leary. In the 23 movie, he's looking for a doctor named Sirius Leary. Okay, so and in the Truman Show, the Sirius falls from the sky. So both of those movies have the clear Sirius connection. And yesterday, I'll just tell you right now, the reason why we were looking at this day is because it was 595 days after the eclipse, the big X eclipse. And what's Sirius all about? Sirius in Greek is 595. And yesterday was 595 days after that eclipse. So, and it landed on a perfect synchronicity with this 23. And then Christian McCaffrey the next day, number 23, again, he would score. So thanks to Sean, again, Widow's son, for bringing this dog being shot in Burbank, because it really brought it all together.
Yeah, the reason I asked that follow-up question really quick, and then we'll pass things off to Rambo. I've just been noticing over the last probably 3+ months that have you guys been seeing all these celebrities like saying goodbye to their dogs? I mean, it's been happening like almost every week, every other week. I want to say it was either like Jim, what?
Look, they're all
Jimmy
17 years old. Look, there's two of them that are listed as 17 years old too. It's just 17 again.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, Kelly Ripa, Dwayne Johnson, Cindy Crawford, Rob Lowe, Julia Robert, like all these people losing their dogs this year. There's definitely something going with that. So I appreciate you you bringing that back up, especially with the serious stuff.
Yeah, like I said, maybe I'll touch on it later more. But again, it's mainly Sean's fine. But I really thought that was been kind of the crazy synchronicity's been going on the last few days.
Yeah, Rambo, any thoughts about just this dog stuff? Underdog?
Well,
I mean, hey.
So I'm going to talk about some underdog stuff. There's some major underdog themes that are, I mean, I've been talking about the underdog. And what got me on the underdog theme was the incident on this year, 2025, in Washington, D.C. on August 10th, which is right around the time of the heliacal rising of Sirius, the sacred star Sirius. So it's about, we're talking about all this Sirius symbolism. And yes, clearly, when there is an elite group has significant influence on Earth. I wouldn't give them the power of God, and they are, okay, they're not one monolithic group. And clearly, when you look at the rituals that are clearly related to the star Sirius, some of them are positive towards Sirius. Sirius is actually associated with higher knowledge, and it's the brightest star in the night sky. And you think of brilliance and high intellect and a high status. That's actually where you get the term sir. When you're knighted, according to the British tradition, even not just in the English language, it's a term of respect for a male is sir. And if when you become a knight, you get the title sir. That comes from Sirius. It was the British Empire did venerate Sirius, but of course you also have those who do not venerate Sirius, but in fact are the opposite. They prefer to desecrate Sirius. If they're really emphasizing dogs dying, well, this is the faction that is, for whatever reason, I don't even know exactly who are the factions, or they also desecrate Sirius. So that's what I would say about all these plethora of dog deaths that they're highlighting by celebrities. This is the faction, among the faction that is desecrating. This is related to the star Sirius. Some of them venerated Sirius, sir, brilliance, higher knowledge, and others, for whatever reason, I guess threatened by it or desecrated. And so I'll give an example of a Sirius desecration. It's a popular song. It's by Elvis Presley of Hound Dog. The Hound Dog is Sirius. And the reason, he's talking about Sirius is because he says, you ain't never caught a rabbit. Well, that's the constellation Lepus. And they say that metaphorically, the dog star is in an eternal chase of the rabbit, which is Lepus, which is the hare constellation. So when Elvis Presley says, you ain't never caught a rabbit, you ain't no friend of mine, well, he's part of whoever's controlling him. I don't think he doesn't come up with stuff like that himself. Clearly, Sirius is either venerated by some of them, like the whole reason for designating July 4th for the day of United States independence was because of the perfect alignment of Sirius, the sun in the middle, and Earth. It's called a Sun-Sirius conjunction. Well, that was done with veneration of Sirius in mind. That's actually why July 4th was chosen. And that's actually in the decode I'm talking. When we talk about underdog, Sirius could be the underdog because, in some contexts, the underdog could be Sirius, or the hot dog too, because, at the hottest time of the year, that's when you have the heliacal rising. So I'd say in general, yes, there's some veneration, which is the whole United States was founded on, basically on the veneration of Sirius, the alignment of Earth, the sun, and Sirius on that day, July 4th, which is every July 4th. Maybe now it's more closer to July 5th, a perfect conjunction, but that's what it is. At that point, Sirius is considered the sun behind the sun. Sirius is actually invisible behind the sun. That's why United States was found on that day. Clearly, but seeing these rituals, there's some of them who don't like Sirius. So that's the thing. So when you see these rituals, like you'll see Saturn evoked or Jupiter evoked, when you look at the esoteric symbolism, or Neptune, or, their archetypes in mythology, Enki, Enlil. Are they, in some cases, they're venerating these figures, and others are either desecrating, or you could say blocking their energy ritualistically. And that's the case with Sirius.
And yeah, I wanted to shout out Rita Nashville for reminding me as well. This was another big one in the news recently. I don't know if you guys heard about Tom Brady cloned his dog. He's like on the board with some company that clones pets, I guess. And it makes me think about kind of the opening of this show, right? Eye to eye, two becoming one, kind of like 9/11. Well, what's Tom Brady known for? The Patriots, Patriot Act, 9/11, all that stuff, right? So now it's almost the reverse, like two becoming one. Now it's one becoming two with cloning. You know what I'm saying? So it's like almost going the other direction now.
Yeah, plus his name, Tom Brady. Thomas means twin.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the symbolism there. So, and I think of the twin pillars and the blazing star Sirius in between the twin pillars, one of the most, you could say, iconic or recognizable aspects of Freemason iconography. The twin pillars, the blazing star above the twin pillars. Inside so that's kind of what Tom Brady is kind of symbolizing there with the dog.
Well, and that hero dog in 9/11, right? Named Sirius.
Named Sirius, yeah. So he was like the dog. Yeah, he was Sirius between the twin pillars. That's Freemason iconography. Which actually, that's also a metaphor for the human brain. The twin pillars are the left and right hemisphere of the human brain. And you were just talking about in your eye to eye. What's another metaphor for the third eye is Sirius.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So yeah, even in Freemason iconography, sometimes you'll see the blazing star with an eye in front of it. It's a single eye it's on the dollar bill. It's an eye on the dollar bill at the triangle at the top of the pyramid. It's an eye, and what's behind the eye? A starburst. That is Sirius. That's why when Jim Carrey, he finally has his epiphany that there's more to this realm than I've realized. So it was like his third eye was starting to open. And what happens when Jim Carrey, Truman Burbank, when his third eye started to open, he started on his journey of seeing past the quote-unquote matrix. I know it's a different movie, different metaphor. That's when Sirius dropped to the ground, symbolic of his third eye opening, which is starting to open when he had that epiphany of there's more to this place. I'm going to see past whatever my two eyes see. There's more to it. That's why Sirius is significant there, because Sirius is the third eye. It's on the dollar bill in a lot of Freemason iconography. The eye, the single eye behind the starburst. So if you're doing a lot of dog death rituals, then in that context, I see what that means. They're trying to get you to shut your third eye. If Sirius is the third eye, the starburst of enlightenment and epiphany, then by constantly having dogs die, Sirius die, that's what they're doing. They're trying to stop you. I guess there's a reason these things work. It may not seem to most people like, oh, this superstition, it doesn't work. They know how the human mind works. And on the deepest recesses of the human unconscious, every human being understands these archetypes on the deepest levels of their unconscious. They do work. It's not superstition. And what it does, people talk about a great awakening and the age of Aquarius. These are some of the things they do to combat that was of awakening, a Truman Burbank-like awakening. What you'll do is ritualistically, and it does work. Symbols are powerful. Symbols are very powerful, but they're understood at the deepest unconscious level. And they will register in ways on a conscious level you don't realize. Sirius is the awakening, the opening of the third eye, the ability to see past the illusion. This is a world of illusion. By constantly having the dog death, you're basically blocking Sirius or killing Sirius. What you're doing is preventing the opening of the third eye, preventing an awakening, preventing seeing reality, preventing people from perceiving beyond the illusion. That's what this ritual is.
Cody, I thought I heard you wanted to chime in with something there.
Yeah. Hold on. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I keep cutting out. I don't know what's going on. It's my internet or what, but so a few things I want to say is that think about so I told you it was connected with yesterday's game. All this serious stuff. The last 2 days were connected, but so yesterday's game was a twin pillars ritual because you had Monday night, so it was on Moon Day, right? But you had the Panthers, who normally wear a silver helmet, right? So that would be your moon. And you had the 49ers, who normally wear your gold. So you have the sun and moon. Again, this aligned 595 days after that eclipse on 4/8. And so you had the sun and moon, the gold helmet versus a silver helmet. And you had this Sirius connection, like the 595. So it's almost like coding in these three specific events together with the two teams, because they're the perfect teams. I mean, the silver helmet and the gold helmet, right? Maybe the only other perfect one would have been maybe the Lions, who have also the silver, but yeah. So then you had the Sirius 595 days, but you also had the what else happened yesterday? You had the thing I talked about earlier, which was the interception, all the interceptions by number 8. But the point is, you had those two things, and then what I was going to say too about like that the center of the tracing board being the eye with the blazing star. It might make sense why the 17 is being used, because the star card in the tarot is the 17th card. And then also, it also might make sense why Ohio, because Ohio actually equals 595 in one of the cipher. I think it's the trigonal cipher. And also Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio, equals 595. It's the 17th state, the star card. And the Browns, they have a dog as their mascot. So maybe this is why Ohio, they have everything. They have the gematria 595, like Sirius in Greek. It's the 17th state, which is the star card. It's got the dog in Cleveland, where all the stars come from. And in WWE right now, they're even using Logan Paul, who's from Cleveland. And he's becoming like a next star in the WWE. He's started out as a podcaster. Now he's a wrestler, but he's from the Cleveland area. And so, yeah, it makes me think about all that. And then it makes me think about, how Trump is always tied to Ohio as well. His first year as president was in 2017. And he's born in the year of the fire dog. And so think about how the world's changed since Trump got on the world stage. More awakening has happened than any other time in history, I would say, since Trump got on the world stage. I would say it kind of started maybe when Obama was, but I think a lot of people during Trump's terms have woken up more than at any other time, at least. I mean, I can think of before Trump, I started waking up myself as Trump was president. That's all I can say. So,
starting with the Q movement, the 17th letter, right?
Right. Yeah. The Q, exactly. That's tries to Trump in the 17 as well. So it seems to be about Trump in the 17. And often he's tied to the Ohio, and he was just commenting on Sadir Sanders. Again, like I told you before we got on the stream, and he's connected to Grover Cleveland. So there's so much I could say, but those are just the points I wanted to make about how this, all this is what Rambo just said. So, there's probably more, but I think I forgot.
Yes, I do have. I actually do mention Sirius in the stars here because it's involved in everything. The whole point of the whole fact that the United States was founded specifically, on a date, based on Sirius alignment. So yeah, if I can share my screen, I'll.
Yeah.
I want to expound on the decode that I just released that I talked about last week. You can see that, right?
Yep, we can see it.
So this is the thumbnail for the decode that I just released. I've done a part 1, and I did an intro, and it's a half an hour, but I'll talk about just a little segment of it, It's called Berlin. So part 2 is the subtitle is the NFL, Back to the Future, Brazil, and the Bell. The Bell being it's a real life Nazi. You could call it transdimensional or anti-gravitational. This is their highest level of scientific program. Now, most people talk about the Bell Project will say that it's fictional. If you just look up the Nazi Bell Project, they'll say it's fictional. Wikipedia, I mean, forget Wikipedia, but across the board, if you look it up, they'll say, well, it's fictional. There really wasn't. And people have done documentaries saying there was this Bell Project, but it's fictional. The best work to look up on the Nazi Bell Project is the work of Joseph P. Farrell. He wrote a book called The SS Brotherhood of the Bell. He's a PhD from Oxford University. He has a doctorate, and his analysis is done at an academic level. So I wouldn't even bother with, I'll be honest, with the other analysis. Joseph P. Farrell has the best analysis. You can look, there are a few videos you might see on YouTube on it. It is a real life project, the Bell Project. And I talk about the Bell symbolism. And so I want to basically what I've been talking about in recent days or recent episodes, even leading up to this, I've been talking about the 119 significance to the Nazi Party. They chose the 9th day of the 11th month to attempt a coup of the German government in 1923. They used the 9th day of the 11th month as one of the major escalation points of the Holocaust. That was Kristallnacht. There's a pogrom. That was on the 9th day of the 11th month. And where did they get that? They got that from Rome. Rome chose the 9th day of the 11th month of the Hebrew civic calendar, Tisha B'Av, to destroy the Second Temple in Jerusalem. So this comes from Rome. The Nazis actually consider themselves to be the new Rome, Rome being the First Reich. They were the Third Reich. And they use all the symbols of Rome, primarily symbols of Jupiter, the eagle, the lightning bolt. And 119 is interesting because if you look at the orbital cycle of the planet Jupiter, to round it off, you'll say it's 12 Earth years for Jupiter to complete one full rotation around the sun. But it's actually 11.9. That's the orbital years, Earth years, is the orbital period of the planet Jupiter. So you can see how that ties into Jupiter. And I always stress when I say these things that everything has a positive and negative. In astrology, Jupiter is actually a positive planet. So it's not just, some evil planet that's invoked by authoritarians who want to enslave humans. Yes, they do invoke it, but they invoke a part of it. There's an authoritarian part of it. Jupiter rules expansion, and empires want to expand. But Jupiter is also the most positive planet in astrology. It rules the realm of luck. It rules the realm of fatherhood, which is protection and providing. Like you could say it's a planet of fatherly love. It's a lighthearted. So in Italian, Jupiter is Giove. That's where you get the English jovial. That also comes from Jupiter. So if you see grown adults who are very young at heart, that can happen if Jupiter is very strong in their chart. So just to be clear, everything has a positive and negative, have different sides to it. So when you see entities, especially who know the occult, like the ones who are, have most of the influence in this realm, what they're doing is they're invoking a part of Jupiter. So they don't worship Jupiter per se, because we also see them worship Saturn, which most people say, oh, the elites worship Saturn. No, they never want to do that. What they're doing is they're invoking a part of Saturn. If they were to worship all of Saturn, well, another aspect of Saturn is it rules karma. And if you're evil and you want to enslave people, the last thing you want to deal with is karma. And Saturn deals with that. You do not want that part of Saturn. So what they're doing is they're invoking. So Saturn is the opposite of Jupiter. Jupiter's expansion, Saturn's restriction. That's what they want. They want restriction and enslavement and rules for us, but they're invoking it for us. They want Jupiter for them to expand. I hope just to clarify that. So Jupiter's not just purely evil. That's just the aspect that they're invoking. So that's the significance of 119. And they've done significant events on that day. The Chilean government, there was a military coup d'etat of the Chilean government in 1973, and they chose September 11th. It is backed by the CIA. And what's the symbol of CIA? The eagle, the Jupiter eagle, the eagle of Rome. That was Rome, again, that overthrew the Chilean government in 1973. They chose September 11th, and it goes back to Solomon's temple. So again, so I'm pointing out the NFL in 2025, they did clearly a Nazi ritual because Adolf Hitler commissioned the building of the Berlin Olympiastadion for the purposes of hosting the 1936 Olympic Games. That stadium still stands today, especially its exterior, because it's a historic monument. So they maintained its historicity while converting it into a modern facility. But to have an NFL game on November 9th, a very significant day to the Nazi Party, and also the Berlin Wall, it fell on November 9th in 1989, which is an indication of the continued presence of this party, the Nazis. They are still, that is why they chose on November 9th to bring down the Berlin Wall. And the NFL is participating. We've talked about this. So I've talked about the country of Brazil, which has a replica, a Temple of Solomon. And that's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So I'll just play this part of my video. It's really short. It's 52 seconds. But this is a clip from my 30-minute. It's just a less than 1 minute clip from my half-hour video. On November 15th, 2025, the national soccer football team of Brazil, the most celebrated football team in international football worldwide, played an exhibition game against Senegal in London, England, at the Emirates Stadium. Brazil, of course, being the home of Solomon's Temple. And look at this ritual before the game, performed by not so randomly selected Brazil fans. Jerseys 9 and 11 strategically placed while they turn around and smile at the camera.
Wow. What was that from? Like that footage? That was that like a commercial?
So that footage was I just stumbled on it. I looked at it. So Brazil had played Senegal a couple of weeks ago. It's an African team. And Americans say exhibition game. In soccer, they use the term friendly, which I don't like because these games are nothing. A lot of these games are not friendly. It just means an exhibition game, basically, in preparation for the upcoming World Cup in 2026. And so they played that, a couple on the, I think it was the 15th. And it was played in London. And so I came across this video on YouTube. It gave like a behind the scenes thing, which I was interested in behind the scenes because I see there's a background to this. And then I just watched the behind the scenes video. It's more behind the scenes from the Brazilian perspective. They're following the Brazilian team, in their locker room and seeing their preparation. And then I saw that. That's not subtle, and I know why, because Brazil has the Temple of Solomon, which came down on Tisha B'Av, 9/11. That's what they're doing. That's not positive what they're doing there.
Yeah.
And the way she turns back at the camera and smiles,
right? Yep.
Kind of emphasize, yes, I'm conscious of this. We're conscious of this, and it's not positive. And I know who's behind this. I'll be honest. But Brazil, so the Americas, including the United States, especially the United States, was a haven for Nazis after World War II. There's a reason Elon Musk does a full-on Nazi salute in 2025 with the presidential inauguration. They do have influence. It's the reason ICE has 9/11 coded into their badge. It's 9 rays and 11 stars. That's Nazi coding, and they're modern-day Gestapo. They're secret police. They hide their identities, and they have unmarked cars. And there's no very serious human rights violations have occurred. I mean, not every detainee has been accounted for. They're taken to, even if you're going to deport someone, they don't even do that. They'll send them to countries where they're not even from. I mean, so these are all sorts. This is the MO of Nazis, and Brazil was one of their havens. I'll talk about it in that video. So one person who is confirmed to have been in Brazil after World War II is Joseph Mengele. They call him Dr. Death. Well, he was also in the United States. They called him Dr. Green when he was in the United States. So he's all over the place. He was in Argentina. He had the run of the place. He was all over the Americas. He had the run of the place after World War II. No one's out to get him. Honestly, he's in the United States, he's in Argentina, he's in Brazil. I wouldn't be surprised if he snuck into Germany, because there actually is a record of him applying for a German passport and receiving it from the German government. Yeah, that's even in Wikipedia. You think that's Wikipedia is the last place to do conspiracy, unless that's been removed. He applied for a German passport after Joseph Mengele did, and received it from the German consulate. So I suspect it wasn't just the Americans. I suspect he actually took a trip back to Germany. But no, but this is the truth about it. So, and where does this come from? So this comes from Rome. This is Rome. Rome is still in power. So it's not really about the Nazis or the United States government or Republicans or Trump. It's about Rome. It's bigger than them. Which is still in power. Rome chose Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the 11th month, to destroy Solomon's temple. Solomon's temple is in Brazil. They know what they're doing, those two fans. I just thought that was a very, it's a remarkable scene when I saw that in that video. And to me, it's obvious. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Before you even made the comment about her looking back and smiling, I was like, whoa. Like, I could kind of feel it. Like she kind of looked like, I know what I'm doing. You know?
And they're told to do it. So yeah, it's a lovely couple. Obviously initiated into some dark order. So this actually goes along the lines of what I'm talking about. Underdog. Notice, what are the colors of Brazil? Orange and green. Well, those are also Senegal's colors. So now I can segue into what I've also talked about, more of a sports thing, but it's also beyond, it's outside of sports too. The underdog theme is also outside of sports, but they're wearing green and yellow. So I've talked about how green and yellow seems to be correlated with underdogs in sports. If one of the teams is wearing green and yellow, an upset tends to occur. Not all the time, a lot of the time, especially in 2025. In fact, say most of the time, because green and yellow is not a popular color across the board in sports. That's what makes it more significant. It's just not that many teams wear that color combination. In fact, in the NBA, nobody wears it. One Major League Baseball team wears it, one NFL team. So and even in soccer, in the Football League in England, which is 4 divisions, all the way down, Premier League and the 3 underneath, only one team wears green and yellow. That's Norwich City. So it's a rare color combination, which makes it significant. So the way it works is, if one of the teams is wearing green and yellow, whether it's the favorite or the underdog, an upset tends to occur. That doesn't happen 100% of the time. So you would think, okay, in that case, clearly Brazil is like the top international. They're not the best at the moment, but just throughout history, the most prestigious team with the greatest history, which has the biggest star power in international football by far. No one's near them. It's Brazil by far. They have fans from nationalities across the world. It's just a popular team, even if you're not Brazilian. Many non-Brazilians across the world are fans of Brazil. That's their star power of their team. They are the top dog in international football. They can only be favorites. So you'd say, okay, well, so Senegal must have won if for the trend to continue. Now, it doesn't happen 100% of the time. Senegal did not win. Brazil won 2-0. But this is the thing. Talk about the underdog theme. While Brazil did win 2-0, these same 2 teams just played relatively recently. They played 2 years ago. They played each other in 2023. And again, this is a exhibition game. They played in Portugal. Brazil being a former Portuguese colony, and they were in Portugal. It's a Portuguese speaking. It's like a home field advantage to them. And at the time, they didn't retake this exhibition game 2 years ago. I guess they weren't really that up for it emotionally. It's Senegal. That was 2 years ago. So they won this one. And this is the reason they won this one and why they scheduled this one. They wanted to make up for when the upset did happen. And that was back 2 years ago. Brazil are stunned by Senegal in Lisbon. And they were beaten comprehensively 4-2. And that was the upset. That was the green and yellow upset. And that happened very recently, 2 years ago. And they're both wearing green and yellow. So it did happen. But this is the thing with you could say the trend or the theme, green and yellow, and the upset. If 2 teams just keep playing each other in relatively, quick succession, it's not going to just keep happening. And upsets aren't just going to happen time and time again, between an underdog and a favorite. Typically what will happen when the favorite gets stunned, they took the second game much more seriously. In fact, they scheduled it So just so they could get revenge, so they could save face. They really took this game seriously. And I was looking at the behind the scenes video. You can see how they celebrated the game. They celebrated this like they'd just beaten England or another top team. They took it seriously. And that's because of the underdog upset between two green and yellows, which is rare. They lost comprehensively in Portugal. So yes, between these two teams, the underdog green and yellow did happen. And I'm just going to go back to how I came up with this. This is back on August 10th, which I alluded to, on U Street in Washington, D.C. There's a Subway sandwich store. Think of Subway, underdog. Sub means under. The Subway is underneath. The U Street. There's no coincidence that they put a Subway sandwich store on U Street. The incident where this is a employee of the state of the Department of Justice threw a Subway sandwich outside the Subway restaurant at ICE officials. And ICE were green and yellow too, but they're definitely not the underdog. And that made the headlines, but I knew that story was significant because it was being given more, I guess, being taken more seriously than it should have been. When you have the top law enforcement official in the United States, the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, talking about a guy throwing a sandwich. I mean, come on. That told me, no, this is more ritualistically significant than meets the eye, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. And Subway sandwich has the green and yellow. That's what got me onto this. And the underdog has that U, is U Street. The underdog, the cartoon character, has that U logo, which I've talked about. And so there's a big underdog story. Speaking of the U logo, this is not just about sports. In 2025, so this tells you that underdog theme and upsets are in the air in 2025. And
Rambo, really quick, I just want to remind the viewers, for those that have been watching us for quite a while now, they can attest to this. But shout out to you, Rambo, with all the Brazil stuff with green and yellow. What happened in the NFL? I want to say it was the first game of the Chiefs season against the Chargers. They were playing in Brazil. Now, it wasn't a massive lopsided game, but the Chiefs being the Chiefs, the winning team all of these years, they were clearly the favorite in that game, which they lost. And so I can't take all credit for that when I shared that on the Patreon, but was just saying, hey, take a look at this right out the gate. What's Rambo been talking about? Green and yellow. Look at their flag. They're playing in the green and yellow country. And sure enough, there you go.
Yes, which I think. So these are exhibition games. This is pointing, the real nitty gritty is the World Cup, which is taking place in 2026. And it remains to be seen. There's several green and yellow, including Senegal has made it there. Australia's green and yellow. South Africa's green and yellow. There are a few green and yellows. Underdog at that level is not going to win it, not the World Cup, but maybe a team like Brazil could get upset. Maybe we'll see if the trend continues. So this trend doesn't bode well if you're a favorite. If you're green and yellow, you're an underdog. Yes, this trend bodes well for you. If you're the favorite, no. But so the biggest upset, because it shows you the upsets are in the air. Underdog wins are in the air. What's the biggest underdog upset story of 2025? This is starting back when I first noticed this code in August 10th. So this has already been gaining steam. The completely unknown Zohran Mamdani in the New York City mayoral race, probably the most significant mayoral race in the United States. I mean, that's not, New York supremacy. That is just an objective fact. It's probably the most significant. Probably it is the most significant mayoral race, position in the United States, that of New York City. You have a Muslim, self-identified socialist, critic of the state of Israel. Those three things, who's no one's heard of, going up against New York royalty, the Cuomos, the former governor of New York State, who became a governor because he's New York State political royalty, because his father, Mario Cuomo, arguably, some might even say, the most popular governor in the history of New York State, his father, Mario Cuomo. This is a New York royalty, and he's pro-Israel, pro-Wall Street, pro-elite power. That's the favorite. You're on the side of power and wealth and privilege, and you're the son of royalty, you're a former governor, an unknown Muslim socialist runs against you. That is the biggest underdog story of the year. That's Zohan Mamdani. And what's significant, so part of this you theme and the underdog is, and I've talked about this before, and I have a more in-depth decode on the Mamdani race. This is so much going on. Is where he was born. He was born in Uganda, and he has dual citizenship of Uganda and the United States of America. So he has a lot of U symbolism with him, and he's the big underdog by far in 2025. There's none close. So it's not just sports. This is the underdog story. It's in the air. But I think a huge sports underdog at the level of this political one has yet to happen. There have been underdog wins, but not to this level. And there was one which I'm alluding to, which just happened, which is a little off the radar for mainstream American sports, but is related to Mamdani and New York City. So he was born in Uganda. There's a lot more on that. Another indication of how the underdog theme is in the air. What is the greatest underdog in human history? At least you can say, I guess maybe people who take certain events in the Old Testament as literal, maybe they may see this as historical. But anyway, it's the account of David defeating Goliath, which is a victory over seemingly impossible odds. That's what David is associated with. So they choose now to release an animated movie, about David and Goliath.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. Wow. Of all the time, so I've been saying underdogs in the air. This started back on August 10th. I had no idea. I figured, okay, this is a theme. I'll pay attention. I had no idea it was this significant. Now they're even doing it with the movies. So it's not just sports, it's politics. It's the movies, popular culture. The underdog victory is in the air. And now you're talking about David. David isn't just, okay, an exhibition game, okay, an African team. So another thing about Senegal, they had another upset this year. The first, no African team had ever defeated England, ever, in history, in soccer, football, ever, until this year. Something about, they're starting it now. Senegal defeated England. So they just defeated Brazil. Then they defeat England, which has never happened before for an African team. So this green and yellow thing, that's been gathering steam. Then you have the Mamdani victory, and now they choose to highlight David in the movies. It's a musical, an animated movie. It opens on December 19th, just in time for Christmas. Why do they choose now to highlight David and Goliath, especially with what just happened in New York? Of course, no one's going to look at what happened in DC, but that's where it started, outside that Subway sandwich store, which is very significant.
I was just going to say the colors in just in the cover. I would say primarily I see green and yellow. There's other colors in it, but
it's kind of like a goldish. Yeah, it's kind of like a goldish. This is sort of gold, and there's like a yellowish. Yeah, and I did show about other decodes, some of the other movies where they have the clear green and yellow motif, like Underdogs, like Snoop Dogg, the movie he did. His team's all dressed in yellow, he's dressed in all green. You actually you brought up was it Sandlot? No. It's what is that movie with the actor from Sandlot?
Yeah, it's called The Big Green.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
and so he's the goalie, and he wears green, or sorry, he wears yellow as the goalie.
Yeah,
and it's a soccer field, so he's just surrounded by green, and like the team is awful, right? And like the team is the underdog, and ultimately they go up against the best team by the end of the movie. It's definitely an underdog movie.
Yeah, I think in that movie, I was look at the plot. They actually lost their first game 18-0. They were 18-0.
Yeah.
So the plot. So in that movie, there's those are American kids who are not into soccer at all, and they get a teacher from England, a female teacher, and she decides to teach them, football, English football.
Yeah.
And it's actually their first time introduced to it, but it's a teacher from England, which, again, England's part of the underdog story because they just lost for the first time in their history to an African team who wears green and yellow when it's never happened before in history. That teacher was from England. But I'm starting to wonder. Yeah. I think England, I see heavy coding for England to win it, especially it's the 26 World Cup, and 26 is a big Elizabeth number, 26. She, on 26, she became, that was what is it? February 6th, she became queen. Then she was coronated on June 2nd. June 2nd, 2nd June. February 6th, 6 February, 2662, queen equals 26 and 62 in gematria. Crown equals 22, and so it's all over Queen. The 26 is all over Queen Elizabeth, and it's the year 26 World Cup. But I was starting to wonder with these upsets and the underdog theme. I know it is coding for England, but they also could be. I'm seeing upsets for England too as well. I'm kind of seeing both.
Yeah, and I don't want to steer us off of the soccer themes, but we did touch briefly on at the beginning of this show about LeBron James, right, and kind of his return from injury. Now he's playing with his son, but let's not forget about his own underdog story back in 2016, right? The same year that Donald Trump, who was, talk about an underdog, him against Hillary, right? I mean, that's an underdog story too. But my point is when LeBron beat Golden State in Game 7 in Golden State on the real King James's birthday, on Cody's birthday, right? That kind of thing. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. So, but underdogs and upsets, like, they happen. But to Rambo's point, I mean, there's about another 8 or 9 I could rattle off right now, just since Rambo's been talking about this year that's happened.
With green and yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, didn't the Packers get beat by the Browns?
Yep.
Yeah,
and they got beat again, right?
Yeah, by the Carolina Panthers. They were 2 touchdown favorites over the Carolina Panthers, and they lost.
Yeah. So, but the Browns one is really interesting too, just considering everything I talked about with the dog and the 17 state and Sirius, the star card 17. And there again, the Browns mascot is the dog, right? So, yeah, seems like perfect. The Browns being the one to do it, it's perfect. So,
yeah. So that's the thing. So these things, when you see a trend like this, it doesn't mean that every single time a green and yellow favorite plays a big underdog, they're going to lose. I didn't think it would happen a second time. I thought that was it, especially the Browns is so perfect. Underdog, dog is the symbol of the Cleveland Browns. It happened again. I didn't think they'd do it twice. So they didn't do that with Senegal and Brazil. Senegal won the first time, but they didn't do it because Brazil was really, they really wanted revenge for that one. Like and Senegal's going to have to get used to that. Now people are taking them seriously. They beat England and Brazil before. No one's going to, you don't have the advantage of the underdog. People are taking them really seriously. They're going to have to adjust to that. Were you going to say something, Cody? Or no?
Oh no, I was just.
Oh, okay.
I just muted.
Okay, so clearly the biggest underdog story was in politics in New York City. The mayoral victory of Zohan Mamdani. Now, this is where it all started for me, with the Subway sandwich, the green and yellow motif of Subway. And the address of that is on a U Street. It's actually on the intersection of U Street and 14th Street. So this is actually from the 14th Street. This isn't on U. The perspective here is not U Street. So U Street is the right on the other side here. This is actually the 14th Street, but the address is 2001. What does that mean? 2001: A Space Odyssey. What do you? There's only one thing you think of when it's 2001. Is there a coincidence that they have a Subway store on 2001? And this incident, which shouldn't even be international news, and it is, at a location with 2001 as the address. We know where they're going with that. And that was in Washington, D.C. The head coach of the Washington, D.C. football team, the Commanders, Dan Quinn, his birthday is September 11th. Anyway, yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Well, actually, they do make it. That's what we're kind of showing. But it started with this incident on August 10th outside a Subway sandwich store when he threw it at the ICE agent, and ICE wears green and yellow as well. Look at this story on Zohan Mamdani from, it's the biggest news network in the world, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This is the angle they chose to take. What Mamdani's win means for New York City's food scene. Of all the things to to focus. That was weird. I thought that was weird, but it just goes right in line with what I'm talking about. This is all ritual. It all started with this for me about the underdog story on U Street, and then they go and do this and talk about this underdog winning, and what they focus on is the fact that, what impact does it, the big underdog upset win have on the New York City food scene? It's right in line with the ritual I'll talk about. And he's walking out. This is so saying this helps. You'll see what they say here. Look, Mamdani is the underdog who's come out of nowhere and become unstoppable, shining a light. There's your Sirius symbol. Shining a light on the underdog restaurants. Well, they can't stress underdog enough, can they? That don't have deep pockets and are surviving when it's harder than ever to do business in New York. I mean, come on. The symbolism is clear here. Well, this is just a very strange angle to be taken on this. So I know we see where we're going with this. And then shining a light is a reference to Sirius. Sirius, the brightest. We're just talking about it. The brightest star in the northern sky. The 4th of July was chosen for U.S. independence because of the Sirius Sun conjunction on every July 4th. And the heliacal rising of Sirius, that's when Sirius reemerges from being behind the sun every year. It's behind the sun for 70 days. That's when in ancient Egypt, they'd start the ancient Egyptian New Year. And it starts the hottest time of the year. That's where you get the phrase, the dog days of summer. Because when Sirius becomes visible for the first time, after being invisible for 70 days, that's not when the hottest time of the year starts, which is why Sirius is also, that's also where you get the phrase hot dog. Sirius is also the hot dog, which is why they honor in New York City. So, Mamdani and Trump's home city, every 4th of July, at the time of the Sirius Sun conjunction, they have a tradition of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest every July 4th. And that's actually a Sirius ritual because Sirius is the hot dog. And it's sponsored by Nathan's. And what are the colors of Nathan's? Green and yellow. So there's an underdog story coming up here. So there's a plot twist here, which no one saw this coming. There's all the rhetoric that was mostly from Trump that was flying, calling him all sorts of things he talked about, implying that he's a terrorist, he shouldn't be trusted. In fact, Donald Trump was even suggesting that Zohar Mamdani's citizenship should be revoked. That's how far he went. I mean, that's not just insults. That's beyond. I mean, but yeah, with all that, and Mamdani was just, I don't think it was an insult saying Trump is a fascist. I mean, that's the way he's acting. But with all that rhetoric going between the two, nobody expected this. But again, so it's ritual. It's, he's the restaurant thing and the hot dog thing. They know what they're doing, having Mamdani come out of the restaurant. This is the British Broadcasting Corporation, not just a little local website this is the biggest broadcasting network in the world, the British Broadcasting Network. It's the British Empire who decided on July 4th for U.S. independence. That's who's behind this. The BBC has the British Empire, royalty, and the other esoteric orders who are in power. They're behind all of this. So this really shouldn't be a shock. We don't know what they're going to pull next because this is the Truman Show, like we talked about. It was Truman saw the star Sirius fall from the sky, let him know that this world is not real. After all, I thought this was a star. It's a spotlight, so that's what you get with these actors. Now there's this, and they love this, especially MAGA. MAGA's heads are spinning after this, and they love that. They love doing that because you're not supposed to be taking this stuff seriously anyway. These people seriously anyway. So this is so New York City is considered, it's starting with DC Comics. They nicknamed New York City Gotham. New York City has embraced the Gotham title. And Donald Trump said, "I am Batman." He was told to say it. And so here's the underdog story. Happened the day after. So this happened on Friday, November 21st. On Friday, November 22nd, this happened. The very next day, this happened. This is in the National Women's Soccer League in the United States. So that's off the mainstream sports radar. The very next day, underdog Gotham FC Football Club stops Washington Spirit for the National Women's Soccer League Championship. Gotham won, the big underdog. I'll go into depth on just an idea of how much of an underdog they were. They're from New York City, although they play in New Jersey. So New Jersey is the New York metropolitan area. That's where the home team is. But that's the headline. Underdog Gotham FC stops Washington Spirit for NWSL Championship. It was a big, why are they underdogs? So USA Today will give you an idea of how the women's soccer league season went, Gotham FC completed an unlikely underdog postseason run by winning the NWSL Championship 1-0 on Saturday, November 22nd, in front of a sellout crowd of 18,000. This is an interesting number too. And that the movie, they lost 18-0. That underdog movie. I just saying they lost 8. So 18 is interesting. I think it's a Venus number. It has to do with Venus is also, there's a female symbol there too. And Sirius is also a female. That's another thing. Sirius is a female dog. That's very important. And it's associated with ISIS. But anyway, on Saturday, November 22nd, in front of a sellout crowd of 18,000 at PayPal Park in San Jose, California. The number 8 seed, so only 8, it's a 14-team league. The top 8 make the playoffs. So Gotham barely made the playoffs as the bottom seed. The number 8 seed, Gotham FC, beat the Washington Spirit for their second title in the past 3 years. They are the lowest seed to win an NWSL championship. Gotham outshot Washington 12-7. We just talked with Cody. This is why I was asking you, Cody, to clarify that 12-7 code that you came up with. Gotham outshot Washington 12-7. Like, I don't know how they control that. Maybe it's just organic because they took 12 shots to Washington 7. I'll talk about the 12-7 significance. And had 3 shots on goal compared to 0 from the Spirit. Gotham captain Mandy Freeman called the result icing on the cake for the season. Gotham beat, so this is how they went through the playoffs. They first beat number 1 seed. They knocked off the number 1 seed in the first round. Then they beat the number 4 seed in the semifinal. And then they beat the number 2 seed in the championship. That's your underdog Gotham. This is the day after the 2 political leaders from Gotham, Mamdani and Trump. The very next day in Washington, D.C., they beat the Washington team. And Gotham, look at the nickname of Gotham FC, the Bats. This is the day after Batman himself was meeting Mamdani from that's actually their nickname. Their nickname is the Bats. And Donald Trump is Batman. And a shout out one of my great patrons, Janet B, for, I didn't know about this, how Melania dressed up as Batgirl from one Halloween. They're really pushing this Batman theme. It's on Facebook. This is Melania Trump as Batgirl, and he's Batman. And that's a Gotham theme. So the bat also hangs upside down. There's the upside down theme. And what's the upside down country that comes up in a lot of upside down themes is Australia. For whatever reason, this is from The Guardian in England. Somehow they feel that Mamdani's win in New York City affects Australian politics. Maybe there's a reason. I didn't read the article. Maybe it makes perfect sense if you read the article, but I just find it odd that, wow, what does this have to do with Australia? They seem to feel that it does. Mamdani's win in New York offers Australian progressives both inspiration and caution. Why are they alluding to Australia when, the bats. The bat hangs upside down. Batman from Gotham. This is the mayor of Gotham. And Australian sports teams were green and yellow. I just find it odd that they'd mention Australia. I don't know. That's just a weird connection to make. And so, talk about Cody's 127, because Gotham outshot Washington 12 shots to 7. That's what Cody talked about. On July 4th, 1776, and we know why they chose that date, because the Sirius Sun alignment on that date to 12/7, 2025. Again, shout out to Cody. It's amazing refined. Is 91,101 days apart, which is 9/11/01, 9/11/01. And remember, the address of that subway sandwich was 2001. So, that's the decode. That's the big underdog story so far. But they're also doing the David and Goliath thing, and I think there's a bigger one coming up. And Mamdani is the biggest one so far. And for some reason, they're going with Gotham in New York City. And of course,
Donnie.
Yeah.
Donnie. He's even got man in his name, like Batman. Cody, any thoughts on that? Great work, Rambo, by the way. Seriously. I mean,
Yeah, thank you.
I just keep adding to those underdog themes that we've been talking about for quite some time. And who's not to say it doesn't continue into next year, like you said, with the World Cup in 2026. So
Yeah, so there's no green and yellow with Gotham being the Washington Spirit. I the Spirit, do they wear yellow? I don't know, but they don't wear. I don't think they wear green and yellow. I gotta look at that again, the uniform color. But I don't think the green and yellow there. But this one had more to do with. So Underdog. Also think about Underdog, the cartoon character, the U on his chest. He wears red, white, and blue. So that might be related too.
Well, one of the biggest sports upsets, I think, in history, I would say, speaking of red, white, and blue, would be the U.S. over Russia in hockey.
Yeah, in hockey, yeah.
Right. What was that? The early 90s or late 80s? Something like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was that was before professionals were allowed to compete.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cody, your thoughts, brother, with the 91101 connection? That one, man, that's unbelievable, dude. I have no idea where they're going to go with that, but yeah, circle your calendars for December 7th this year.
Yeah, and I was pretty much blown away when I saw this on that video, which I knew exactly what they were doing. I know if you're from Brazil, we know it's in Brazil. Solomon's Temple is in Brazil. 9/11 is not positive when you're referring to Solomon's Temple. That's when the temple was destroyed. They know exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Cody, you out there, brother? If you were saying something, you were on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I always forget to unmute myself. I mean, the one thing I'm thinking of, I mean, again, great presentation, and obvious the underdog stuff is continuing and absolutely, manifesting itself and in many different ways already, as we've seen, and I'm sure we'll find more. As I said last week, was that wrestling Maxine Dupree, who had won also. So don't forget that one, because she was a huge underdog. I mean, she wasn't even a wrestler 2 years ago. She was a cheerleader, a dancer on the basketball court. And now she's all of a sudden beating who people say is the best women's wrestler of all time. So yeah, you go from that to that, and then it just makes me think of John Cena too, because John Cena won the men's Intercontinental Championship right around this same time. I don't know if that happened the same week. No, I think John Cena won his Intercontinental Championship the week before Maxine, the underdog, won. But what was interesting is that John Cena was wearing green and yellow when he won his, right? When he won his Intercontinental Championship, right here in his hometown, of course, but he was wearing the green shirt with the yellow on the back, right? So, and then a week later, Maxine Dupree won the same title, the Intercontinental title, but just for women. So it was the women's. He won the men's. She won the women's. And it makes me think that this is the part of the same theme. Now, of course, John Cena is not the underdog, but it is interesting because that was the only championship that John Cena had never won. So in a way, it was kind of like he had never done that. So it was a milestone for him, right? That made him a Grand Slam champion. So that just those kind of things reminded me of that. And like I said, how everything is connected, and just going back to how old he'll be on that same day, like just to show people again, this still is like pretty mind blowing, because he'll be that on December 7th, he'll be 1776, 0 days old. And again, this is the same day where you measure from 1776 to this day, you get 9/11/01, and just so happens that this guy, who's the main theme of everything right now, is going to be that age on that day. I mean, that's just astronomical, especially because Cena also was born in 1977. So I think there's a connection between the year 1977 and the year 1776. Because if you look at the numbers, it's literally the same numbers. You just didn't have an inverted 6 or 9. So think about the year 1977, the year Cena was born, the year Brady was born. Brady, and I believe that's the 201st year of the United States' age, isn't it? If you go from,
I think so, yeah.
If you go from 1776, if you go from July 4th, John Cena technically was born in the 200th year, but Tom Brady, who was born later that year, would have been the 201st year since the United States was founded.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, and John Cena born that same year, right? And then the rival of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, who's big right now in wrestling as well, he just came back. He was born that year. So you got that. So there's something with the year 1977. Of course, that is the year that Elvis died. We've talked about Elvis in recent weeks with the Elvis song. And there's something else that I found out just recently that happened that year. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the things that all this reminded me of as you were speaking. And I'm just wondering how much more perfect you can get. And then Trump's Mercury birthday on that day. Let's see. But going back to what Casey said in the chat, speaking of, I found it interesting that if you type in the Dog Star Series and you type in John Cena's "The Last Time Is Now," I find it interesting. It does have a gematria match with the Dog Star Series, but on top of that, I told you, I guess is a time where I can bring up what happened this weekend. You had, if you go from the from the eclipse in 2024, which was a huge event, and you go to 2 days ago, or technically yesterday or 2 days ago, depending on if you add the span. It was 595 days. That was from the eclipse. And that again that's the gematria of Sirius in the Greek. It's also 85 weeks, and I believe Sirius also equals 85 and something, if I'm not mistaken. One of the ciphers. I think it might even be in the Bacon. And notice how the last time is now equals 201.
Yeah,
and
that's perfect.
I mean, that proves again this cipher, and people need to use it more. I mean, Rambo obviously knows about it, but I mean, this is the Bacon cipher. The last time is now. It just happens to equal 201 in that cipher. We know how big that is. That's not a coincidence at all.
I think it's interesting, Cody, too, that it also equals 94. And we just had the death of Marshawn Nealon, who wore number 94.
Right.
You know,
right.
And the NFL season started on 9/4.
Yeah, and yeah. So I was thinking that Sirius equaled that in the Bacon, but it was 91. It actually equals 85 in the Aleister Crowley cipher. But so another thing, going back to this story with this dog shot, or canine shot in Burbank. Cops warn a police dog shot dead while chasing suspect. Your mission is complete, hero. So it kind of reminds me of the 9/11 story. But yeah, Burbank police, right? And then just to show people, Sirius in Truman Show. I don't know if there'll be a picture that comes up. Oh yeah, right here. So obviously, again, I mentioned this before, but I just wanted to do this with pictures. You got Truman Burbank holding the Sirius, the canine, the dog, And now we get the canine getting shot in Burbank. And so what blew my mind is that when Sean brought this to me, he mentioned his theory. He has a theory that I think kind of is a bit proven to me now, at least in my mind, that the Revelation chapter, that the beast that's referred to is sometimes referred to as Sirius, because when he sent me this originally, he sent me the verse that it was in, and I'm trying to look it up right now, make sure I remember exactly what verse it was. Revelation 13:3, right? So Revelation 13:3 says, so he's talking about this chapter, about the beast chapter. And that's interesting too, because I saw one of his heads that was wounded to death, like how Trump was shot, and he was healed, miraculously lived. So this chapter, he's trying to say that, this is connected to Sirius possibly. So I just did a quick measurement just to see, like, if you go to the Truman Show release date, and interesting that this show actually came out in 1998 also.
Hey, Cody, really quick, I just want to shout out the enthuse. This was a pretty good comment here. Truman, at the very end of the movie, right, when he walks up the steps, he goes up 17 steps.
Oh, really?
At the end to free himself from the Matrix, right? 17 times back to Sirius.
Wow.
That's a good one, enthuse. Thank you.
I would have never caught that.
Yeah, I never thought to count how many steps he was taking to get up there.
But yeah, because again, that's the star card is the 17th card.
I didn't know that.
So look at this. So after he sent me this, he literally sent me the chapter. He sent me Revelation 13:3. I immediately noticed the Burbank thing and told him that. I was like, well, this has to be connected to Truman Show, because his last name was Burbank. Well, I just measured from the Truman Show to the day this happened. It was 1:33. This is the day, the chapter he had just sent me. So I don't know that. I mean, that's really interesting. I mean, that it happened to be that exact amount of days, and it was 595 days after that eclipse. And again, if we look at the Freemasonic tracing board, as Rambo mentioned earlier, let me find one that I don't know if I can find one that's what I'm looking. I mean, this is still a good representation, but like Rambo said, a lot of times you'll see there's an eye here in the center, but this is the star, right? There's a blazing star, and then you have the duality, the two pillars, the sun and the moon. And again, I told you that the day after this, you had like the perfect teams playing in the NFL, the sun and the moon team. And yeah, and then this Sirius thing, the star and the star card. And there you go, the steps. The steps. He goes up 17 steps to the star to get out. And this is the steps that go up to the star. I think that's it. Think about it. That the guy just told us, I forget what his name was now, but he just told us that it was 17 steps. I think
it was True Baller.
Okay.
Or no, the
enthused, right?
Yeah, it was the enthused. Yeah, and then True Baller just said that came up when you brought up the original Sirius image. There was one of Truman going up the steps. So shout out to the fam for throwing this in, because that was a big one.
How perfect is that? These are those steps, I think. This is the door out.
Well, hey, think about this. Freemasonry equals 59, the 17th prime.
Well, exactly. And that and Freemasonry first lodge was in 1717. The Grand Lodge, 1717. And again, somebody in the chat just mentioned the other thing, which connects to this perfectly. John Cena, in order to get done with his career, he had to get that 17th title.
Just like how the Lakers are sitting on 17. Actually, did they get? Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Yeah, they're sitting on 17 championships.
But also think about where John Cena won his 17th title. And Rambo's connected Las Vegas to Sirius before, but think about the guy who's known for Vegas. That's Elvis. People get married in Vegas by Elvis. Well, Elvis had the Hound Dog song. And doesn't 95 go through there or something, Rambo? I know you talked about Vegas once with Sirius. I know you did. I remember that.
Oh, no, I've talked extensively about Sirius with Vegas. Vegas has, and I shout out to Bobby Simpson. He's the one who discovered the 595 Greek isopsophy Sirius. So it's in the Greek alphabet, their word for Sirius, which is Sadios. Comes to 595. Well, there's a route in Las Vegas called Rainbow Boulevard. It's Route 595. It runs right through Vegas. So Bobby Simpson always told me about 595. I never really seen it. And once I saw Route 595, that's where Henry Ruggs of the Las Vegas Raiders, the wide receiver, he hit a lady and her dog. Her name was Tina Tintor. In that accident, they say he was driving drunk and he killed her and her dog. That was on Route 595. So that's actually when my really biggest decode on Las Vegas and how it's coded with Sirius. But and it's another shout out to Bobby Simpson. I learned from him how 101 is an indication of Sirius, where the O is the blazing star between the twin pillars, and the ones are the twin pillars. So the number 101 became a Sirius symbol, which I learned from him, and then it clicked in my mind. Oh, so that's why they have 101 Dalmatians in that story. In the story, about the dogs, like, why did they pick that? Like, well, what Bobby told me, I realized, so that's why they picked it. So the Route 91, again, Sirius in 91 in Elizabethan, Francis Bacon, that shooting happened on 101, which is the, October 1st, which is also on that exact day that shooting happened, on October 1st, 101, O.J. Simpson was released from prison in Nevada on that very same day. And he's a Sirius symbol because his birthday, which I believe is July 9th. Okay, they're not perfect alignment, but that actually is when it's still considered a conjunction between Sirius and the sun when O.J. Simpson was born. So O.J. Simpson is a Sirius symbol too. Sirius is also 32 in Gematria. He wore number 32. Sirius is 49 in Gematria. It's all base ciphers. But he ended his career with the 49ers. So just talking about Las Vegas and Sirius, that's some of the stuff that I connected.
Well, Kirk also equals 49 and 32. And let's not forget about, shout out Joseph with his extensive work on the music video, She's My Kind of Crazy, which is all in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So, and the Vegas shooting, the infamous Vegas shooting back in 2017 took place when? October 1st.
Yeah, I just said that.
Sorry. I was writing down the dog star. My bad.
Yeah, and also O.J. Simpson was released from prison on that very same day. And
that's right.
Again, he's number 32, finished his career with the 49ers. And that's the biggest one here. And this is not like, you guys are connecting all these esoteric dots and maybe not. They spell it out. In Henderson, Nevada, it's part of Las Vegas, still considered Las Vegas. That's where the Raiders have their headquarters. In Henderson, there is Sirius Star Street. They spell it out. And also, there's another road in Las Vegas called Sirius Avenue. They spell it out. It's coded with Sirius. They actually spell it out. It doesn't take any esoteric knowledge or tarot or astrology or talk to Bobby Simpson. No, they say it.
Well, it makes me think of Allegiant Stadium. Allegiant Stadium with the sun, right? They say that it's the biggest star in the sky. So that could be another.
Yeah, but I'm saying they actually just spell it out without going through all these, esoteric analysis.
Yeah.
They have two roads. They have Sirius Star Street and Sirius Avenue in Las Vegas. So yeah, they're Las Vegas. I say that the cities most coded with Sirius are Washington, D.C. and Vegas, but also Houston to a lesser extent.
Yeah, really, like, this is kind of all coming together in my mind, at least, because so like with what we just found, and I was trying to count the steps of in this thing, but either way, it still seems very connected to this theme of what I just brought up here. Considering that the star is here in the center, the star card, you would have the moon. The moon card is in the tarot is technically the 18, and then the sun is the 19. So yeah, it would make a lot of sense, and that maybe that is why Freemasonry, their lodge, was founded in 1717. Maybe it was another clue to this 17. And again, Cena winning that 17 title in Vegas, which Rambo just explained, is very connected to Sirius in general. And then on top of that, I've already mentioned before in WWE where they had Roman Reigns play the big dog early in his career, and then he was born 595, 3 days before 9/11, which is the 32nd star, and Sirius equals 32. And his wise man was Paul Heyman. And then now Paul Heyman has, so they just keep recycling the same thing, because Paul Heyman, after he betrayed Roman Reigns last year, he then took on Seth Rollins, who was the brother of Roman Reigns, who was all about burning things down, like Sirius is the burning blazing star. But then once they betrayed him, now the main guy in the group, that this Paul Heyman guy, who's born on 9/11 again, the big guy he's behind is Braun Breaker. And let me just bring up Braun Breaker. I'm trying to see if I can bring up his actual attire. Recently, he's just been wearing attire that says, yeah, right here. See, it says dog. And then whenever the audience sees him, they're trained to bark. So this is the next star of the WWE, guys. So they're recycling this Roman Reigns, and then it was the big dog, and now this recycling the same. The new guy is going to be connected to the dog again. And again, this guy, Braun Breaker, in Swedish, Braun is bridge. So his name can translate to bridge breaker. And what's really interesting about what Sean's been presenting is he's stated that the center chapter of the Bible, or like the bridge, right? The center, the middle point of the Bible, is Psalms 117. And it's the 595 verse of the Bible. So it's the 117 and it's the 595. Psalms 117. And if you notice, that's interesting because the word bridge, if you spell it right, equals 117 in multiple ciphers. But so does the dog star. Equals 117. And in fact, the dog star equals 117 and 45, like bridge. Man, I can't spell tonight. 117 and 45. And again, that's the Psalm 117, which is the middle. It's literally the center chapter of the Bible, and it's the 595 verse. So you kind of have this, and think about it. The star on the tracing board is in the middle. If I can find that, I guess I took it down now, but what I just had up, it's in the middle, right? It's like this is, and it's like reminds you of a bridge type thing, right? And also, I was thinking about, so again, going back to this to summarize, you got the dog and you got Sirius falling out of the sky. We just had the dog get shot in Burbank. And as Rambo stated, when he starts to wake up, it's when Sirius falls. And then he ends up taking to end the movie, he takes a step up to a portal or a way out. And that depicts the Masonic tracing board. The star, I mean, it's not exactly, I mean, obviously there's no twin pillars at the end where he walks out, but it's still steps going out. And Sirius is the one that starts that's basically the first thing that happens, that wakes him, that starts the journey. And that reminded me of this, which I've analyzed before. And don't forget Michael Jordan, right? He's born on the 17th. And the song that they use for Michael Jordan, when he got drafted, it was immediately the year he got drafted, they started using Sirius. Well, like I think that if we just studied this album, it would give us all the answers. Well, not all the answers, but I think it's pretty clear what they're telling us here. You got Sirius being the number one song on the album, but it has no lyrics. So basically, the way I see it is the true reality, God, is undescribable. You can't speak it. So there's no lyrics. You can't talk about it. You can't describe it. It's beyond human words comprehension, right? Sirius. Then the next song is Eye in the Sky, which talks about, it's kind of like ego. It's like, I'm the eye in the sky, the maker of rules. Like it's the development of an ego, right? It's like the song is like telling you, I'm the eye in the sky, I'm the maker of rules, I'm the one, I do everything, I'm watching over everything. It's just me, I'm watching. Well, there's your second pillar that's one of the pillars on the board. So here's your star, the middle pillar, the star in the middle then you have your sun card, and then you have the moon. So what's the chance? The third song literally has the moon in it. And so you have this Sirius, sun, moon, and this is the tracing board. But what gets even more interesting is when you go look at the writer for the lead vocals for the fourth song, Rainbow. Somebody just said something about that. But the fourth song is Gemini, like a gem in your eye, right? So you have eye in the sky, and then you have gem in your eye, and then you have silence in eye. So what did I just tell you about the first song? The first song tells you that silence is the best way to honor God or the true reality, because you can't even speak about it. It's so profound. That's why there's no lyrics in the first song. But once you get to the fifth song, it enforces that idea, because it says silence and the I am. Sirius is the I am that I am. So look at how when you type in I am that I am, which is what the Bible says. And I know that some people will say this is not the correct translation, but this is the one that's more widely spread. And I find it always interesting that I am that I am equals Sirius. Right? And just your basic English, right? So I am that I am equals 95, like Sirius. And so you have that. And then you're telling me that the fifth song in this album again reinforces silence and I. But what's interesting is the second group of songs, the second group of 5, kind of, I don't know. Oh, so first of all, let's start here. You've got you're gonna get your fingers burned, right? So Sirius, the blazing star. Sirius is the blazing star. So 6 is a reference to 1 here, as in Sirius is the blazing star. So if you touch it, you're gonna get burned, right? So then the eye in the sky is psychobabble, right? Psychobabble is the ego, again, speaking highly of itself. You're babbling. It's reinforcing this song here. Because in this song, Eye in the Sky, it's saying, I'm the maker of rules. I'm this and that. And I watch over everything. And that's saying, with this song, it's saying that you're basically saying that's psychobabble. Now, the 8th song would then be a reference to the children of the moon, and it's called Mama Gamma. Well, that's interesting because this song has no lyrics. So I don't know quite why. I mean, there's probably something to it. I'm still thinking about that. But Mama Gamma, Mama reminds me of feminine, right? Mama. The moon is obviously feminine. So and wait, that's the 8, or that's the 3/8 actually. So I don't know. I'm still coming up with this theory, but then look at this. The ninth song is Step by Step, the steps.
Wow.
And Step by Step is the ninth song, and I is the ninth letter, the I am. I, Sirius, is the I am that I am. And then the 10th song is kind of the culmination of the whole journey, Old and Wise. So this reinforces song 5, which is Silence and I. So what do you do to be old and wise? You're silent. Because you realize in the first place that you can't speak about the overall, because we can create words and symbols and all this stuff in this world, but ultimately the reality that's beyond that is indescribable. So that's why old and wise reinforces a wise person doesn't have as many words, right? So it's kind of like somebody maybe that stays to themselves and doesn't speak a lot, right?
It's funny you say that, Cody, because it makes me think more about Jim Carrey and his movies, particularly Ace Ventura. I think it was the second one where he goes up to a monastery. Is that what it's called? Where monks come together to congregate.
Right.
But anyways, monks are known for taking a very long vow of silence.
Right.
But,
exactly.
But I also wanted to shout out True Baller. Just made a good point. It's funny how Jim Carrey is perceived as the whistleblower or truth of Hollywood, but he is the star of The Truman Show, Liar Liar, Dumb and Dumber, Bruce Almighty, and 23. What a joke. He also mentioned, some other green themes with just other characters he's played. The Grinch, he was the Riddler in Batman. And don't forget about The Mask.
Well, and Jim Carrey's born on 1/17.
Oh, there you go.
Which again is the middle chapter of the Bible. And again, the dog star 117, bridge 117. Look at the dog star. It equals 153, the 17th triangular number.
The number you're stuck on right now. My birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
And my dog Cooper, his brother is Cody.
Yeah, that's still wild to me.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, like
Were you gonna say something, Rambo?
No. I could add. So there's a saying that prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. And that's actually what silence is. With monks. The matrix, basically, it keeps you in the matrix, in this realm. Mostly, it's a perception realm. And it's subliminal, and it's constant, and it's music, and it's noise, and the noise could be thoughts too, but those thoughts are based on what's put in front of you and you're bombarded with. That's why monks are usually in remote locations, because once you shut all of that off, then you're pretty much shutting the matrix off and all the coding that goes subliminally into your unconscious. And silence is very important. I say once you're in absolute silence, it means silencing your mind as well. That's when they say it's listening to God. Then that's when you'll get the information beyond the 3D realm that you normally can't, because it's blocked by all the noise and distraction of the matrix. Silence is very important. It has to do along the lines of meditation. It's essentially what you're doing when you meditate.
Yeah, and hey, Cody, really quick, I just wanted to share my screen for a brief second, just because, stick into the Jim Carrey theme for a second. Who was it?
Go ahead.
Mr. S, said Jim Carrey also had a dog in The Mask, connected with Sirius. But then I did a quick Google search because I was like, wait a minute, a lot of the characters that he's played over the years, he has a dog, So I just did a quick search on that. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. But yeah, check this out. Look, so dogs that have worked with Jim Carrey in the past, it was a Russell Terrier named Milo in The Mask. And then you had, when he plays the Grinch, he has his dog Max. And then he had a dog Buster and Bonnie in Bruce Almighty. And then Butch, the bulldog, in the number 23. It's been a while since I've seen the number 23, especially. But how about that? Tons of dog connections with just with Jim Carrey's career.
There's a very good decoder in the community, Finis Temporis. I think a lot of people are familiar with him. He does a lot of movie clips in his videos.
Yeah, he's good.
Finis, he has a Jim Carrey serious. I think that might have a lot of views by now. That video might be like 6 or so years old, but Finis Temporis has really good videos on Jim Carrey and the serious symbol and the dog symbolism of his Jim Carrey movies. It's Finis Temporis, and he has like a Roman numeral. I don't know. I can't remember what the Roman numerals, but that's his
yeah, he Mister's 422 actually wrote that in the chat right before you said that, Rambo. So he was thinking the same thing. But yeah, I know his channel too because I did a video on the Golden Gate or on the Back to the Future 3, and I shouted him out in that. He actually responded to me and we talked a bit. I haven't. It's been a while now, but it's been like since early this year when I first discovered that Clara Clayton thing. When we discovered that, when you discovered that, and then I and the other people we caught that it was going to be on her birthday. I did a video about that, and then I think somehow I shouted him out in the video, and then he responded. But yeah, it's a great channel if you guys go check that out. Yeah, I don't think he's posted in a while, or maybe he's posted something recently. I haven't looked, but definitely, yeah. And I remember now when you said that, I remember now seeing him do a video. I don't think I watched it, but a video with Jim Carrey and Sirius.
Maggie says he was in the Sonic movies too. I never saw him, but he didn't have a dog, but the main character's dog, his name was Ozzy. So that's kind of interesting. Speaking of dogs, I gotta go grab Cooper really quick. So I wanted to hand off the screen share to one of you guys while I step out for a quick second.
Okay. I mean, I can put my screen back up there.
Yeah, put your screen up there. I pretty much I'm done with I think with any presentations I wanted to do.
Perfect.
Well, somebody had said,
I'll be right back, you guys.
Okay. But yeah, just somebody in the chat had mentioned this verse, "Be still and know that I am God." So there's another connection. Stillness can be equated with silence, I guess. There's no movement. And then somebody else had said, can't remember where the comment was. Yeah, I lost it now. So whoever that was that made that comment, I don't remember where it was, but somebody had said something about Sirius in the chat. But yeah, going back to this, I mean, I think it's definitely interesting. And Casey, Bobby Simpson in the chat had mentioned, Canis Minor being connected to the underdog theme, possibly.
Oh, yeah, Canis Minor could be the little dog, the small dog,
Right. And that's kind of interesting too, because most of the dogs that's in the Jim Carrey movies, they're all small dogs. And that kind of reminds me of another show that I watched all the way through multiple times because it was one of my favorite shows. It's called Lost. And the show literally starts like they make a big deal of the dog in the show. But like the show starts and ends with the main character. Well, it's basically like a portal. They go to a portal and they end up on this island, and then they live out this whole thing. But then they realize it was all a dream in a way, and then it involves plane crashes and all that stuff. But this is the end scene of the movie. In the first scene, they crash, and the dog is the first one he sees. The first thing he sees after he crashes is the dog, and then at the end it repeats it. But at the end, he kind of has a piece. He's dying actually, in the same spot where he started the show. But now the dog comes again and lays next to him, and then he passes on. He sees the white light, which reminds me of the Blazing Star theme, and then the dog lays next to him and he dies, and that's the end of the show. So it's kind of the same kind of thing, I think, in a way, with this. And there's always a dog there at the beginning and the end of the show. So just more importance of the dog.
That does sound like a similar theme to the Truman Show, where you're saying it was a dream, and then I guess he realizes it was a dream at the end. Is that how it works?
Well, they all realized that by the end of the show that they yeah, pretty much it was a dream, and they had actually died, and they actually had died on the plane or something like that. I can't remember the full details, but basically they did realize it was all the whole time they spent on the island together. It was kind of a dream, I guess, in a way. And then it doesn't really state that, but it's kind of either it's a passing on or a dream. And then, and again, by the end of the show, he's dying right here. And then that's the scene right here. So
I guess that kind of is similar to Truman realizing, I guess, eventually that he's really in an artificial environment type thing.
Yeah.
I guess Sirius represents that epiphany, that opening of the third eye, seeing beyond whatever the illusion is that you're in. I guess that's where they're going with that. But again, like, so when you see these rituals where, okay, so the ritual Sirius is being portrayed in a positive light, the third eye, being able to see reality. When you see all these dog deaths one after another being highlighted, those are rituals, subliminal rituals to close your third eye. That's what that is, I believe.
Right.
That's my take on it. I think those are third eye closing rituals.
Yeah, and then, like I said, I think it kind of he's from Sydney, Australia. How about that? The dog in the movie.
Yeah, underdog, the land down under, perhaps.
And look at what kind of dog he is. He's a yellow Labrador Retriever. So you kind of have this yellow theme, right? And the green theme that you think about where they crash at is an island full of greenery. So yeah, I bet you there's just more of that green and yellow color.
Yeah, and again, like Australia, their flag is red, white, and blue, but their sports teams wear green and yellow. So that's interesting that you have that.
And there's in this show, there's a character from Australia too, a main character that's from Australia. Not the main character that I showed, but like one of the main characters is from Australia. It's a good show. Lost is one of my favorite shows, honestly.
Yeah, so these are archetypes, the archetypes that are repeated in multiple works of art. So these same archetypes also appear in Alice in Wonderland. In the Alice in Wonderland movie, I don't think it's a coincidence that they use an Australian actress to play Alice. She was Mia Wasikowska. She played Alice. She's Australian. In fact, when Alice first goes down the rabbit hole, at least in the movie version, they had her like she goes down the rabbit hole and she's disoriented.
Yeah.
She's upside down for a while. Like she's on a ceiling. Then she looks at the chandelier and her hair for some reason like is up because she doesn't realize she's upside down. So yeah, Australia is used, I guess, to represent things like this. I guess the underworld. The underworld also it's a realm pretty much where you go to for your soul to be tested. You're basically going to the bottom rung. All your heroes' journeys that you have throughout mythology, you go to the bottom rung, but you go there for the sake of basically building your soul, and then you move up the ladder. It's Hercules going to the underworld to retrieve the Cerberus, and what Cerberus comes from the Latin word for brain. In Spanish, brain is cerebro. So the Cerberus dog that Hercules has to retrieve from the underworld. That's along the same lines where the hero goes to. And that's everybody. It erased everybody. And I think this is the underworld. And this is where you're tested.
Well, look at this right here. This actually just goes perfectly with what we were talking about. And look at the dog now here with AJ.
I think he heard us talking about him in the other room.
So look at this in the show. Shortly after the crash, which is like that starts the scene, Vincent was searching the jungle when he heard a whistle. It was Christian Shepherd. Interesting name, Christian Shepherd. He called Vincent over and told him to go wake his son up. I mean, think about the profoundness of that. We were just talking about Sirius falling out of the sky and waking Jim Carrey up in the movie, right? Kind of starting his awakening. And in this show, the same theme. The dog goes and wakes him up. And
So-
as Vincent ran off towards Jack to do this, Christian stated that Jack had work to do. Vincent continued running until he found Jack, who was just regaining consciousness. As Jack awoke, he saw Vincent running toward him through the jungle, stopping to look at him. Vincent then continued exploring the jungle. So, like, this is so profound, really. Like, you have the Christian shepherd, the father, calling the dog to go wake his son up. And the dog is and saying he has work to do. Like, he has something to do here. And then, so this kind of comes full circle by the end of the movie, because he realized he didn't have anything to do by the end of the movie, essentially, because it all was a illusion. So but it's still, at the end of the day, he felt like he did something, right? He felt like he lived it. He felt like he had all those experiences on the island with all those people and all the things they did. But at the end of the day, he realized it was a construct. It was a matrix, I guess, so you could say. And then that's when he's resting. He rests. Instead of the dog waking him up now, the dog is bringing him peace and rest, right? So that's at the end of the show. So I just profound in many ways. But go ahead, Rambo.
Yeah, so this archetype is seen in the Bible. So they're referring to Jacob's ladder. So Jacob's ladder in the Bible, Jacob actually rests. He's asleep. And Jacob is dreaming. And he dreams of a ladder. And angels are descending and ascending from the ladder. That's the biblical narrative of Jacob. That's why you have a character there named Jack. When you see a character named Jack, it's a reference to Jacob. And in a lot of these, so the Jacob's ladder, that can be a metaphor for the spine, and the steps can be the Kundalini awakening, which has the 7 chakras. It's the crown chakra would be that's the when you're fully enlightened, and they go along the human spine. And Jacob's ladder, which in ancient Egypt was called the Jed pillar, DJED, which is where you get the term Jedi. So a Jedi is someone who's fully awakened. That comes from the Jed pillar, which looks like a spine and vertebrae. That's why 33 is such a powerful number, because the human spine, and this is just sacred geometry, the human spine has 33 vertebrae. And these are all reference to the spine. This is the metaphorical, I guess, climb up the ladder from the base consciousness, which is at the bottom of the spine. And it corresponds with the 7 colors of the rainbow, which is why you have Rainbow Boulevard in Las Vegas, because it represents the spine, Jacob's ladder, which you have Jack. And also the character Christian Shepherd. The good shepherd is Hermes. And Hermes is the psychopomp who guides you to and from the underworld to the above world, the spirit world to the flesh world. It's Mercury, who is Hermes, who is Jehuti. Again, Jehuti, DJE, Jed pillar, Jedi. That's the archetype, and that's who Christian Shepherd, the good shepherd. What does a shepherd do? A shepherd guides. That's what the Christian Shepherd is. That's the archetype, and that's why you see the name Jack too, and that's why he's asleep, because Jacob is asleep when he either dreams this ladder where angels are going up and down. That's the spine. That's the Kundalini. That's the path to awakening, basically. And the underworld is that when you're at the bottom, base level, and you have to work your way up.
Kind of makes me think about, when you say Jack, Jake, Jacob, we have Jake Paul fighting against, what's his name? Anthony Joshua on December 19th, a week before Christmas. And that whole fight is called Judgment Day. So I think that's kind of interesting, just in light with what you've been talking about with Jake and Jacob's ladder.
Definitely tied into the wrestling that's going on right now. I just told you John Cena, he just fought the Judgment Day on his last Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And then, see John Cena's card. So look at this. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but it's all in the cards. If you go to this website, for your birthday, you have a card, right? So John Cena, again, he's born April 23rd. And so he's the Jack of Clubs, right? And the Jack of Clubs is my card. So I actually share a card with John Cena, which is super interesting because John Cena beat Cody in Vegas. And then Cody beat John again to get the title back. So this is like super connected to me. But I'm a Jack of Clubs, right? Another interesting fact about the Jack of Clubs card, and I just wanted to mention this too before I move on, but considering that there's the 7 chakras, we're talking about the 1 through the 7th chakra. So that the 17 could represent the 1st through the 7th chakra, or in essence, the 1st through the 7th day of creation, right? 1 to 7, which does end up breaking down to the 7th prime even. So, and what does dog and God equal in gematria, right? So, but then again, that was just a touch base on that again. But what I was going to say is if you go to the Jewish cipher and you type in John Cena's card, the Jack of Clubs, it's 985, right? And that's the same gematria as Jesus. So that's interesting. But going back to the Jack of Clubs, when Cena won his title in Vegas against Cody, look at the shirt he was wearing. John Cena Vegas shirt. I believe that they did this to make sure that the cards were at the center of the mind because
Oh, wow.
So when I knew that John Cena's card was the Jack of Clubs and it was sharing with mine, I was like, wait, he wore this shirt when he won his 17th title. And look at the Jack. It's not the Jack of Clubs. Interestingly, it's the Jack of Spades instead of the Jack of Clubs. But the one that's crossed out that you can't see me is the Jack of Spades, I believe. I think that's the Spades. I can't see it very well, but hold on. Yeah, it's the Spades. So the Jack of Spades is crossed out with the C, right? Because John Cena's catchphrase is "You can't see me." So again, referencing eyes and seeing, right? John Cena's whole thing is about seeing, like "You can't see me," Cena. So yeah, I just found that super interesting considering his card is the Jack, but you would think that he would put that Jack of Clubs on there, but he switched it up and they put the Spade on there. Now, people who know more about the cards might be able to tell me. I've still yet to find anyone that, and this is, if anyone in the chat knows more about these cards, I'm sure you guys can give me more of a clarity on what this shirt even means, because I know it means something like deeper. I'm sure I could figure it out too. And I think I actually figured out some of it back then, but I've forgotten it by now. But all I can say is that this shirt was also worn one day before Pope Francis died. So like this, I figure was also connected to that.
You can convert this to tarot cards because playing cards came from tarot cards. There is a corresponding tarot card to this.
Yeah.
So clubs is wands. It started with tarot, and the Jack would be the page. So you can look up what is the meaning of the page of wands, because that would be the tarot equivalent.
Oh, the meaning of the page of wands?
Because Jack of clubs actually comes from the page of wands. So the Jack is page and the clubs is wands. So that is related.
Huh.
You can look up like correspondences between tarot and playing cards. It started with tarot. Then you went to playing cards. If you want to use a general meaning, look at different sides. And also, they have a different meaning, reversed and up and
right
side. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess upright, and this would be the clubs, right?
Yeah. So the wands is the equivalent of clubs.
Right.
Or clubs are the equivalent of wands. And so spades would be swords. Cups is water. Cups is a heart, and pentacles is diamonds.
Okay.
So yeah, so
So it's interesting that they cut out his card in there. They didn't put the jack of clubs on there. They put the jack of spades, which you said is the sword, right? The swords.
no spades. Oh yeah, spades is swords. Yes, spades is swords.
Right. So that is interesting as well. So they're crossing out the sword. You can't see the C crossing out is the sword over the jack of spades, but the U is on the king, right? So this is actually going back to how AJ started this stream. You know, you can't see me, or you watching me, like the I and me, and you can't see me. So that this, I'll think about this and I'll look into it more. I'm not going to try to go figure it out now because, like I said, I need to know more about, I need to think about this more, of course. But I think there's definitely something to this and why he wore this shirt. And yeah, so I don't know. I do think these cards are relevant too, because if I read this, like it sounds like me. let's put it that way. This sounds exactly like me. Like I'm in my mind. I like to bring improve quality of life and the functionality of systems. Like that's my whole thing in life. Like I want to make things more. I feel like the way that we do things on this planet is so inefficient and so unfunctional. Like that's my whole thing. It's like I see right through the way we do things. It doesn't make any sense the way we do any of the things we do on this earth. Maybe a little bit of it, but most of it is just unproductive, not unnecessary. So I do want to improve the quality of life and functionality of systems. And you have the ability to dive deeply into anything that captures your interest and analyze it thoroughly and present it. That's exactly what I do every day for you guys. That's my passion. It's what I do every day. I love that. I love to debate. Now, this is where I think my conditioning is kind of changing this part, because my dad was a Cancer. He's a Cancer, and my dad is one of the most argumentative and looking for debate people I've ever met. And so from every time since I was a kid, he was always arguing and trying to, so I think I got turned off by that. So I do not really like to debate that much. I mean, not that I don't, but I think because of how my dad was, I got turned off from debating. But it says that I can debate and I have a sharp, quick-witted mind, which is probably true. But yeah, anyways, it doesn't have to be about me, but you can see all the cards that have, each day or each card has like a certain amount of days. And look at this, December 7th, guys. Wow. I'm going to be flying on my card day. On one of the other days that has my card, which is not very, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 cards that have that, which is actually a lot, as some cards only have one day. Like I think it's like the King of Spades or something that has like one.
The only one with one day is the Joker.
Oh yeah.
There's only one day for the Joker, and that's December 31st.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, KODI, that's interesting too, because I remember when I first started my channel, with all my love themes. I want to say Sean, actually, shout out Widow's Son. Him and I did a live talking about love connections, but also us being in the year of, I'm not trying to put any bad juju on you, brother, but the plane crashes, helicopter crashes, all that. But it got me thinking about back in the day before planes had TV screens and all that stuff. The most common form of entertainment was playing cards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's interesting. I did want to also shout out Onco Decodes. He said, I just joined. His comment's about 15 minutes old, but Rambo, I wanted to pick your brain on this because I thought this was an interesting share. Just joined. I don't know if anybody has already said this, but Pluto is god of the underworld, and Pluto is, a dog, a Disney character dog, right? So, and the U.S. is currently going through its Pluto return. Would you mind maybe elaborating a little bit on that, Rambo?
Yeah, I've talked about that. I've done a ton of decodes on the Pluto return.
Yeah.
And the cycle of Pluto is 248 years. So that's the outermost planet with the longest, biggest orbit. And yeah, from July for 7076. If you take the orbit at 248 year, that's in years, it's 248 years to complete a single orbit. And that's why I have the Pluto return. So that's different than Pluto's placement astrologically. So Pluto was in Capricorn, I believe, in 1776. And it depends if you use the tropical zodiac, then the United States Pluto return was on May 2nd. Like, there's a lot of 22s. It was, February 22nd, 2022. It was 22222. That's actually when the United States had its Pluto return in the tropical zodiac. In the sidereal zodiac, which has 13 signs, and the signs have a different, each sign has a different length, the 13th being Ophiuchus. The Pluto return was in 2023, sometime in 2023. But if you just take Pluto's orbital cycle, which is 90,560 days, 90,560 days after July 4th, 2026, is June 14th, 2024, which is Donald Trump's most recent birthday. He's directly aligned with the Pluto cycle. So I talk about stuff like that. And also the number 248, because that's in years, it's a 248-year cycle, ties into Kobe Bryant. Those are his two numbers, 24 and 8. I've done stuff on Pluto, the underworld, plutonium. Which goes back to the Future, where Doc actually steals some plutonium in order to power the DeLorean. It ties in there. In fact, even when Marty travels to 1955, 1955, there's some comic books where they actually think he's an alien, a space extraterrestrial, and there are these comic books that are out at the time about an extraterrestrial from Pluto, and it was actually suggested to, I don't know, the makers of Back to the Future, whoever actually wrote it. I mean, Zemeckis. I mean, there are several people involved. Of an alternative, one of the suggestions for the title of Back to the Future was going to be, had to do with Pluto. I think it was the man from Pluto or something, or the alien from Pluto. There's a Pluto-oriented alternative title. And they said, no, that didn't sound good. They went with Back to the Future, but Pluto's a big part of that too. But so the stuff, I've talked about at length about that. And the underdog, the dog in the underworld is the Cerberus, the three-headed dog that guards the entrance to and from the underworld. That's the dog of the underworld, which Heracles, that's his 12th task. The 12th task of Heracles. That was his most difficult one, was to retrieve the Cerberus and bring it back to the above world, which is really conquering death and the limitation of the underworld. I mean, this is the underworld, but Pluto and the 248. So the Pluto return has been completed. So the United States was 248 years old until this year, this past July 4th. This past July 4th, the United States turned 249 years old. But it was 248 years old up until then. So, the Pluto cycle has been completed, and it's basically the start of a new cycle. You can look at it that way, as far as Pluto cycles in the United States. And there's another entity that was born around the same time as the United States, and that is the Bavarian Illuminati. That was also founded in 1776. Don't forget them. They too have had their Pluto return. Don't forget them. Yeah, no, May 1st, May 1st, 1776.
No, that's a great refresher. We got another question for you, Rambo. I asked Spatium Viator earlier to bring this question back up since we were diving into other things. But question for you, Rambo. They're saying, what are Rambo's thoughts on Joe Burrow, potentially returning? I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but thoughts on him returning on Thanksgiving for Jupiter Thursday, as the Bengal represents Jupiter, and Thanksgiving celebrated exclusively on Thursdays during Sagittarius, and Burrow is a Sagittarius.
I've done extensive work on Joe Burrow and his symbolism, and on the city of Cincinnati. I've done so much on it over the years. I've done so much Burrow stuff. So yes, Joe Burrow is a Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter rules two signs, Pisces and Sagittarius. Pisces has two rulers, Jupiter and Neptune. But for Sagittarius, Jupiter and Neptune rule Pisces. Jupiter exclusively for Sagittarius is exclusively ruled by Jupiter. Joe Burrow is a Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is and again, shout out to Bobby Simpson. This is who I found this out from. I've connected so many dots from this one piece of information. I'm not just overhyping this guy, just giving credit. I've learned a lot of stuff from him. I connected so many dots when Bobby Simpson told me that Jupiter is the tiger. He told me that. I said, why? Because it's striped. Even has similar colors. The kind of brown and orangish and white stripes. That is why the tiger represents Jupiter. And I've connected so many dots from them. And that's the ruling planet of Joe Burrow's zodiac sign, Sagittarius. Where did Joe Burrow go to college? Where did he play college ball? LSU Tigers. He played for the Tigers in college, LSU. Then he gets drafted by the Bengals. Is that all a coincidence? There's another. This is the most mind-blowing thing that I came up with. I mean, I don't have. I don't think I need a screen for this one. There was a movie made in the Indian movie industry. It's a very big movie industry in India. And they did a movie called Bengal Tiger. And they released it on Joe Burrow's birthday. So what, are they coordinating the Indian movie theater all the way in India with some kid who's in high school, who's a quarterback, who at the time wasn't yet. You want to look that up?
Yeah. I was gonna.
I can go like Wikipedia or something. Look up Bengal Tiger movie. Wikipedia. Yeah, Wikipedia's that. Right. That's it. Yeah. You look at the date on which it was released. Okay, look at Joe Burrow. Type in Joe Burrow. That's 10th December 2015.
Come on.
What are how are they coordinating? Are they coordinating between India and their film? And at the time, he's in high school. No one really heard of him in high school. But this is the degree to which Joe Burrow is coded with. It all has to do with his zodiac sign, Jupiter, which is his ruling planet. That was the most mind-boggling thing that came up for me when I looked at looking at Joe Burrow and that symbolism. And yes, Thursday is the day of the week. You can just look up Thursday. Just type in Thursday just to confirm on Wikipedia. Just to confirm for people. Yeah.
What are we confirming?
Thursday. Just type in Thursday. It'll confirm that it's the day of the week for Jupiter.
There you go. Yeah, Jupiter's day.
The Jupiter day. Okay, yeah, good. So I didn't even know about this, but yes, so this clearly is being coordinated with his zodiac sign. They've already been coordinating it. So that is interesting that he's coming out, he's returning on Jupiter day, essentially. And I've illustrated here the degree to which he is coded with the ruling planet of the zodiac sign. Now, what they say in astrology, you say like, okay, Joe Burrow is a Sagittarius. You could say that as a Sagittarius, he is ruled by Jupiter. What they tell you with astrology is do not let your ruling planet rule you. You have to rule your ruling planet. No. Now, what does that mean? I mean, that could mean different things, but in general, so don't think yourself as passive, like, someone's a Sagittarius. Okay, I'm ruled by Jupiter, but that doesn't mean let Jupiter just control you and take you wherever you want. Like, you understand it and understand how it affects you, but it's in you. Like, you should be the one in control type thing, because there's a positive and negative side to all these things. But yeah, that's an interesting. Who are the Bengals playing?
Ravens.
They're taking on the Ravens, and I'm just showing screen here to show this is his estimated return date, the 27th, which will be Thursday on Thanksgiving. Recovering from turf toe.
So the Ravens are the bird of Odin. He had two ravens, Hugin and Munin. That's the Norse god. If you look up Wednesday, you'll see, or even Odin. The Odin in the English, in the Anglo-Saxon version of Odin was Woden, so Wednesday became Woden's Day. And Wednesday is Mercury Day. So what you're seeing here with the Joe Burrow Ravens matchup, if he plays that game, Mercury rules Gemini. And the Cincinnati Bengals they're Gemini. They're actually established in Gemini too. You're seeing a yin-yang Gemini Sagittarius axis of the mutable cross. And the mutable cross is the upside down cross, which is the hanged man. That's the cross formed by Gemini Sagittarius and then Pisces Virgo. That's the upside down cross. That's St. Peter's cross. St. Peter was crucified upside down, they say, under Nero. And when was Nero supposedly born? Nero was a Sagittarius who died in Gemini. Not by coincidence. So that's part of the mutable cross. Just so happens that the Roman emperor under whom someone is being crucified upside down just happens to have a birthday and a death date in accordance with the mutable cross. Well, that's how they code everything. But that Ravens matchup, that's what that is. It's a mutable cross ritual. The upside down cross, Gemini Sagittarius axis. Now, as far as Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Yeah.
Isn't it also interesting, Rambo, that considering we're talking about Odin in the Norse, Odin is the king of the gods, right? Essentially.
Yeah, and some people actually do debate whether Odin is Jupiter or Mercury. Like it's generally accepted. That's
what I mean.
Yeah, and that's how it is when you try to compare between two different traditions. Sometimes it's over, thousands of years or hundreds of years or simultaneously, but one culture is Scandinavian and the other is from the Mediterranean. They will not always match up 100%. They'll have similar properties. Like Loki. Loki is actually the trickster side of Mercury. So they won't tell you that Loki is Mercury because they're saying, well, Odin is Mercury. But the truth is Loki is also Mercury, but he's a different side of Mercury. Or Hermes, the trickster.
But in the Norse, Loki is kind of, well, at least in the Thor movies, Loki is the adopted son of Odin, right? Because and it's also interesting that in the like the modern day stuff, they're always depicting, like in the Thor movies, they're depicting Odin as the king of Asgard, right? And then his son Thor, but his adopted son Loki, right? So Thor is actually Thor's day. And I think it's pretty telling that all of our days are actually not even really they're all coming from the Norse. Like the actual etymology of the English days are actually from the Norse gods, like Thor's day, Woden's day, Odin. I believe Friday is.
Tui is the version of Mars. The Norse version of Mars is Tui.
Yeah.
Tui's day.
Yeah. And then, of course, that's not the same. It's actually different in the weekend because Saturday comes from Saturn, and then
Sunday from English.
Right.
And then Monday is like moon, like English.
Right.
And then Friday is Freya. Freya is the sacred feminine Venus version. But again, they're not 100%. They don't 100% correlate with all their properties and description between, say, Freya and Venus. They'll have some similarities. But in general, Odin is generally considered Mercury in general.
Yeah.
The way I've always kind of, if I ever draw a blank on what day of the week is named after what planet, I just say the days of the week in Spanish, and usually that helps, right? Lunes, Luna, lunar, right?
Yep.
Martes, Mars.
Yep.
That's interesting though how that is though. The English ones they connect they obviously use the Norse influence, the Germanic influence, but then of course for the other languages like Spanish, like you just pointed out, it actually comes more from the Latin or Roman, right?
Yeah,
So like
miércoles, Wednesday, right. Named after Mercury, right?
So
yeah, and that's where you get the Mercury Woden alignment there.
Yeah,
right.
Because that's the thing. So then they'll be confused because sometimes you'll look at the properties of Woden and some of them look similar to the properties of Jupiter or Zeus. And then there might be some confusion. But then Jupiter and Zeus is the lightning god, and who's the lightning thunder god? Thor. They pronounce it Thor. But that's why Taurus Day is, the lightning god. Some people think that Thor is actually Mars. So there's not always a agreement, but in general, yeah, it looks to me like this is definitely a ritual based on the mutable cross, the upside down cross, which is Gemini Sagittarius primarily, with Burrow coming back against the Raven, the birds of Odin. In some tarot decks, the hangman is Odin, and the hangman is upside down. There are some tarot decks where Odin is, and you'll see like two ravens on the hangman. That's what that ritual. Is the game in Cincinnati or Baltimore?
It's in Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the last it's the last game Thursday night.
Yeah, that's a pretty major. I can't say because my big ritual. I mean, decode was the reason I got onto Cincinnati. And at the time, Cincinnati was one of the worst teams in the NFL. This was right before they turned the corner and became competitive. Was when, at the time of the Great Conjunction, where there was a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in 2000. It happens every 20 years, but there were other planets in conjunction as well. There was a super conjunction. And I saw that the conjunction was occurring on a Monday during the football season. I said, they're not going to just put any game on that day, the night of the Great Conjunction. So I've never looked forward to NFL schedule before. That one was, I cannot wait till the NFL schedule comes out. I want to see who's scheduled for the Great Conjunction. It was December 21st, 2000. Not 2000, I'm sorry, 2020. It's every 20 years. And it was on Monday, and I was not expecting Cincinnati. Then I was like, it was Cincinnati Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I had to figure out why Cincinnati. And that's when I found out about so much of the significance of Cincinnati. It's the city of seven hills. What else is the city of seven hills? Jerusalem is the city of seven hills. Rome is the city of seven hills. That's why you get the twin symbolism in the city of Cincinnati, because that's Jerusalem. The twins are the twin pillars of Solomon's temple. So in Cincinnati, you have the twin pillars, these two golden buildings. Those are the Procter & Gamble buildings. That's the headquarters of Procter & Gamble. That's Solomon's temple. And Cincinnati is a metaphorical Jerusalem, city on seven hills. That is where Damar Hamlin had that grand ritual in Cincinnati when the Buffalo Bills were in Cincinnati.
That's right. I forgot that it was against Cincy in that. Yeah.
So I was able to understand that ritual because I'd already done the Great Conjunction. I had to research Cincinnati to figure out what is it about Cincinnati. That's when I started finding out about these Procter & Gamble, the twin pillars, and just even Cincinnati, where the name Cincinnati came from. I assumed it was a Native American name. Some people may think that. No, that's a Roman name, named after a Roman emperor, Cincinnatus. Ancient Roman emperor. He's actually a benevolent dictator, Cincinnatus. And George Washington is actually modeled after Cincinnatus. There is an organization known as, sort of like a secret society, not as well known, called the Society of the Cincinnati, which was founded on May 13th. What is the telephone dialing code of Cincinnati? 513. Because that is the founding date of the Society of the Cincinnati, before there was a dialing code. So they coordinate that, and the headquarters of the Society of Cincinnati. Well, I'm right. I'm in that neighborhood. I've been around that. I don't know what it looks like, but it's an elite order of elite bloodlines orders. And George Washington was the first. I forgot what the title is. The general, superior general, or something. No, that's a Jesuit symbol, but governor or something. But the first leader of the Society of Cincinnati was George Washington. and he's a analog of, or just like a symbol of the Roman Emperor Cincinnatus. Now he's actually a dictator, a benevolent dictator. So they had a rule in Rome that in a state of emergency, there'd be no democracy. They had the Senate that would elect an emperor based on the will of the people. So each senator was represented people. That's where we get modern day American form of government, and they would elect an emperor. But in a state of emergency, an emperor would stay in power and would not be up for election. And that's how Cincinnatus became emperor. It was a state of emergency. There was some rebellions and wars, and they decided that Cincinnatus can stay in power and not, when his term was over, but he was allowed to stay in power to deal with the emergency. And he dealt with it so well. In fact, they even say that he was very merciful with his enemies. He even treated the enemies well. And who knows if this history is accurate, but things even got better for the enemies. He actually appeased the enemies and triumphed. And he was such a great emperor, they wanted him to become a permanent dictator. But he insisted, no. The rules say this is an emergency. These are emergency powers for a state of emergency. The state of emergency has been addressed by me. I will step down. Even though the whole public outcry was, no, stay in power as long as you want. He said, and he insisted, no, I'm going to step down. And the first emperor to abuse it was Julius Caesar. That's how Julius Caesar. So Julius Caesar is connected to Cincinnatus because he became emperor based on a rule that put Cincinnatus in power. But Cincinnatus was benevolent, stepped down. Julius Caesar used the emergency powers dictator rule. And once his term was over and the emergency was dealt with, he refused to leave. And he became a dictator. But let's go back to Cincinnatus. This is the name of what the city of Cincinnati is based on. And so this is the symbolism. And that is why Damar Hamlin, his incident with the heart attack where he was revived, he literally died and came back to life. I was able to understand that because I had already decoded the city of Cincinnati. I had understanding what the Cincinnati stood for Jerusalem, the city of 7 hills with the twin pillars, the Procter & Gamble twin pillars of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem, the city of 7 hills. Cincinnati is Jerusalem. And that would make the Cincinnati Bengals home stadium was for that ritual, a symbolic temple of Solomon. And Damar Hamlin was a Hiram Abiff symbol who was killed while overseeing the construction of Solomon's temple. He was the master builder, the master architect of Solomon's temple. But he was killed, but then he's later revived. Hiram Abiff, and that's about reincarnation. Hiram Abiff later is resurrected to complete the construction of Solomon's temple. Solomon's temple is not a physical place. It's a very deep, profound metaphor. I'm not sure what the goal of the NFL was, or their intention in doing that ritual. I really don't know if it's positive or negative. There's a very profound message to that allegory of Hiram Abiff.
Rambo, look at who they're playing on December 7th. Look at what teams are playing on December 7th. The same two teams.
Oh, they're playing the Ravens again?
No, the same two teams that are played in the Damar Hamlin thing are playing on December 7th. Of all days, those two teams.
Oh, Bengals, Bill. Okay.
Except for this time, it's in Buffalo.
Okay, yeah. But Damar Hamlin is there. But yeah, this time it's in.
What was the date of the Damar Hamlin thing? What was Damar Hamlin injury date? So like January 2nd. Yeah, January 2nd, 2023. I just want to do a quick measurement because time flies, man. Phew.
I was just thinking that. I was like, oh my God, it was that long ago already?
January 2nd, 2023, guys. Almost 3 years ago. Oh, man. Anyways, let's go to December 7th. Oh, my goodness. What? This number's following me.
153.
There's her 153 again.
Exactly 153 weeks from that injury to the rematch. I guess this is the first time those teams are playing since that incident, probably.
Yeah, I don't know if they've played before. I don't know, but
I don't think they have, because I think
it's only been 2 years, so probably not.
Bills, Bengals all-time games. They played 34 times. The last game they played.
Yeah, I forget. Didn't they stop the game?
Yeah, they stopped the game.
Did the team end up win? Like, did any team get a win as a result of it, or
I don't think
they
even
replayed it,
replayed
didn't they?
I don't think
They did replay it.
Oh, they did?
Oh,
I don't think they did.
I don't.
That they both ended the season with a game less than the rest of the league.
See, but this doesn't make any sense. Why is it saying here? Okay, why is it okay? Because I just showed you guys that it said the game was on January 2nd, 2023. It was week 17, guys. 153 weeks later, the 17th triangular number. But what funny? The funny thing is, it says right here that that doesn't list that date as the game, unless this is look at, they're tied 17-17. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my! Of course they are. 17-17 when Freemasonry was founded. The lodge in Freemasonry founded in. So there's your Freemasonry connection again, Rambo.
The Bills led by number 17, right? Doesn't Allen wear 17?
Josh Allen, 17.
That's enough.
How crazy is this, guys? This 17 it's obviously.
That's amazing.
I know, right, Cooper? Yeah.
100, and look, no matter how you measure it, if you don't add the day, it's exactly 1070 days from the game. Or if you add the date, it's exactly 153 weeks, which is the 17th triangular. So, and they're tied 17-17, which means one team is going to go 17-18. So that's interesting.
So what if they want to keep that 17-17 and the game ends in a tie?
Oh, I mean, that's crazy. That would be crazy but I need to figure out what's going on with this last game, because why is it saying here that the last time they played actually? Well,
do a quick Google on that. Just Google and say, did the game played on January 2nd, 2023, did that count towards the team's record? Cooper, Jesus.
Hold on. Let me just go back here. So 34, they played 34 times. Look at what this says. It says the series is tied 17-17, 17-14 regular season. So who's on the 17th for the regular? Because somebody's 0-3 in the postseason. But it doesn't tell me. So yeah, I think there's a typo. There's a typo in the other one, because this says January 22nd. No, that's also saying, because
I was going to say both websites are saying it's January 22nd, not the 2nd.
But is that the day they replayed the game? Did they replay the game like a few weeks? I don't think so, though.
Yeah, you type the question. You type in the question. Was the abandoned?
Did they replay the DeMar Hamlin injury game? No, the Week 17 game between the Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals was not replayed. It was announced on January 5th. So why are both of the reputable sites saying that the date of the game was on the 22nd of January? Because it was obvious. See right here, it says the NFL officially canceled the game and did not resume. A decision confirmed in sources close, announced on January 5th. And I'm almost positive it was January 2nd when the game was played. I remember it being like just right into the new year. It wasn't 22 days.
I'm seeing more that's saying January 2nd.
Yeah.
So
So
that was the date of the game. The NFL officially announced the game would not. Yeah. I'm just making sure that I'm seeing the same stuff that you are.
but this is
It
so
just
wild.
but it begs the question. So what happened? Because timeout. Wasn't the score tied 3-3 or something? Because the game just started
7-3. It was 7-3.
7-3. Okay.
Because Hiram Abiff sums to 30, I think 37 in Gematria,
Okay.
I believe. It's consistent with the Gematria of Hiram Abiff.
So, but think about this, okay? So this is beyond coincidence. It was a Week 17 game. The amount of time between that game and
from that injury to 12-7, the Bills and the Bengals are playing each other again with a tied record of 17-17.
And that was and again, Freemasonry. Rambo just explained how it was connected to Hiram Abiff and Freemasonry. And that game was the 33rd game all time between the two, right? We know how big that is, the 33.
17 also equals 37, by the way.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, Hiram Abiff has a
really?
value of 73.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, if you type out 17, it equals 37.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
17
So
equals 37.
Yeah. Cooper pointed that out to me.
Look, so they also played November 5th, 2023. Let's just measure from that date. That must have been the next season. It's exactly 109 weeks. 763 days. Yeah, but I think the big ritual is that 17, man. Like, that's crazy. 17 tied. And again, Josh Allen led by number 17. Burrow wears number 9. 9/17 is Mahomes' birthday and the NFL's birthday. They love that. They did it twice this weekend. The Colts game was 9-17 at one point. And it was Mahomes was obviously playing. The Colts lost to the Chiefs. The Colts were up 17-9. Right? That's Mahomes' birthday and the NFL's birthday. And then they were up 20-9, the Colts, and then Chiefs came back, right? To win 20-23, pointing to that year.
You know what? This is incredible. Shout out to you, Joseph, because I got one other thing to add on this. Let's not forget about the player Neil with the last name Neil. That was the only one that wasn't kneeling during that whole ritual. And who did we talk about earlier briefly? The recent death of Marshawn Kneeland.
Right.
So there's something there with that too. But yeah, Joseph, nice addition.
I remember covering that.
Yeah, I did a decode on that. So that's a Dylan Neal. He actually represents the sun because a Dylan Neal is a Leo. Leo's ruled by the sun. And this is a sun ritual. So the Hiram Abiff allegory is based off of the ancient Egyptian Osiris Horus allegory. And so Osiris dies in the fall, goes to the underworld, and is resurrected as Horus, the resurrected son of Horus, which is at the time of Aries, which is why they used Damar Hamlin and Aries to represent the risen sun. And the Freemason ritual for the revival and the rebirth, it's the rebirth of the sun. It's actually the rebirth of the soul and reincarnation. It's done at the spring on March 21st. That's why Adrian Peterson, whose birthday is March 21st, was the only NFL player who was publicized in the media as objecting to Damar Hamlin's blasphemous jacket at Super Bowl. I think it was 57 when Damar Hamlin showed up at the Super Bowl with a caricature of Jesus on the back of it, like a varsity jacket, and it was blasphemous. Only Adrian Peterson was highlighted in the news as objecting from the standpoint of a Christian, even though their league is full of Christians. It's because of Adrian Peterson's birthday, which is March 21st. That is when you have the symbolic resurrection of Hiram Abiff. That's the resurrected sun. That's why you needed a sun symbol as well. And Damar Hamlin's an Aries. That's the time of Aries. And Damar Hamlin is a Leo. And in the Freemason ritual, they revive Hiram Abiff from a coffin by they call it the grip of the lion's paw. The lion's paw, the lion is Leo. That is what Dylan Neal is. He's the lion. He's the sun, the resurrected sun. Or he's the adult sun. And also the sun is ruled by Leo. So the sun is at home in Leo. And its home away from home, which is called its exaltation, is in Aries. This is all a sun ritual. But it's more than just the physical sun. But it all fits in. 17, that's what I didn't, all the stuff I've done, I didn't even realize it's 1717. But it kind of tells you why maybe you're either going to have the game end in a tie or just not have, or they're going to have that ritual, just not replay the game because maybe they wanted to stay on that number.
I mean, let's not forget how significant of a day that is. And we just talked about how it's 9/11/01 days after the United States. John Cena's 1776 days old. And look at this, 15 weeks and 3 days before Damar Hamlin's birthday. 17 again.
Oh, man.
And it's got 17 date numerology if you add the just like this way, 1 + 2 + 7 + 2 + 5, 17. Well, look at Damar Hamlin's birthday next year, 17. So both the same way how you do it. And don't forget, this is the kill date. It's the kill date, just like, Charlie Kirk was shot exactly 1 Mercury year earlier on the kill date.
If you type in Damar Hamlin just in the calculator base cipher, you'll see it's 94. Now I'm seeing this 94 kind of coinciding with Marshawn Kneeland, number 94 of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to overcomplicate it, but
I definitely think, it's obviously connected because we just had that go down. And that knee thing was a huge part of that Bills Bengals game. I remember covering that. I was only like 1 year into the game at that point.
Yeah, so he actually went down at midfield. I remember I did a very extensive decode on that. He went down in the middle of the field, just on the 50-yard line where everybody was kneeling. In fact, they actually put the stretcher on the car came in and the stretcher was on the 50-yard line. 50-yard line represents the equator because at the spring equinox, the equator is basically on the same plane as the sun's equator, basically. And that's what the 50-yard line represented, like the middle, the equator. That was the whole. It was a sun ritual, like a reincarnation ritual, a soul's cycle ritual.
Oh man!
But hopefully it was done for. Can't assume they're all evil. Maybe there's a positive. Maybe there is some positive intention behind it. Maybe there was.
Damar Hamlin is 27, and ritual equals 27. And 27 is the 17th composite number. So he's even his age has a connection with that because 27 is the 17th composite. But yeah, man, it's just so crazy that this game with this big, if anyone remembers, like in the last, like 5-10 years, one of the biggest rituals games was this game with this Damar Hamlin thing. Everybody probably remembers it, even people who don't like football. And, but it's just funny that this game these two teams are replaying on this date that I've been looking at. It's just interesting. Like more stuff pointing to that importance of that date. Pearl Harbor Day, right? So the 84th anniversary, 84 days after the first American Pope's birthday. Pope Leo equals 84.
I think that might have been Dylan Neal's birthday. I think it's August 4th. He's a Leo. He's on was in number 33. I think really? That's actually in the Gregorian calendar when Solomon's temple was destroyed, the second temple.
Neil
Or Dylan. I'm not sure how you spell Dylan.
Yeah, me neither.
Try Dilan. Even if you misspell it, they'll know who you're talking about.
Is it?
Oh, do the Y. Yeah, there you go. Maybe with a Y.
I don't think that's him though.
Oh, that's Dylan. No.
Football player. I don't know. Man, I can't type when I'm under pressure.
Pressure? Why is there pressure?
I don't know. When people are watching me type, I always try to type way too fast, and I always miss.
Come on, Cody, pick it up, dude. Come on, man. Joking.
No, I know what you mean. If people are watching, I'm a little embarrassed at how slow I type. I know what you mean.
I am a slow typer, Rambo. I might, to all those people out there, I'm really not that good at typing. I never have been. My fingers are good for moving around the guitar board, but not for typing for some reason.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't like typing in public. I don't. everybody types so much faster than I do.
I'm gonna find this guy though. Whatever I need to do.
You know, Neil is too common. If you just put just misspell Dylan, they'll know who you mean. Just spell it Dilan. If you put Neil, there's like a million Neils. You put football player. Man, why is it Dylan? I thought that. Am I getting his? No, it's not Devin. It's put Buffalo Bills number 33. I mean, he might not be there with the Bulls now, but
Siren.
Oh, Siren. Okay,
it is his birthday. His birthday is August 4th.
Yeah, August 4th. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because that's related to Solomon's Temple. It's all about Solomon's Temple. Solomon's Temple, the second temple, was destroyed on August 4th, which is Tisha B'Av in the Hebrew civic calendar, but it's August 4th in the Gregorian. 84 is a big number for. It's all about Solomon's Temple.
But it's just crazy considering that the 84 is a huge part of that day. Like that December 7th date, the 84th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, 84 days after the first American Pope's birthday, and his name equals 84. Pope Leo, 84. And 12 times 7 is 84. The date 12 times 7, that equals 84. So, and then we find out this guy, the two teams are playing again, and this guy who didn't kneel, his birthday is 84. And we had all these people dying at 84 recently, of course, including a Cincinnati Bengal. Well, he didn't die at 84, but he wore number 84. Remember, Bob Trumpy. He died at 80, but he wore number 84. And then that lady died. Kirkland, the lady with the last name Kirkland, died, and she was in the 80 for Brady, like 84 Brady. So, something with the 84s, and it all kind of seems to be pointing to that day. And now this. Syrian. He's
Syrian,
for the 49ers.
like Sirius.
Yeah. Sirius.
Kind of like Sirius. Syrian.
Well, yeah, he has that 70 Rambo's talked about.
Exactly. The Solomon's Temple, the second temple, was destroyed in the year 70. The second temple was built after the tribes of Benjamin and Judah were held in captivity in Babylon for 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was destroyed in the year 70 on August 4th. That's what this is about.
But you've connected that to Sirius, to that number.
Yeah, Sirius is invisible. It's behind the sun for 70 days in a year.
And then think about it. That his name equals 70. But what was I going to say? Oh, Dog Star equals 84. So there's that number with Sirius, but yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so these are all metaphors. There's no physical Solomon's Temple. It's not a physical place. If people see Solomon's Temple as a physical place, which I don't know, they talk about Trump wanting to build it. Well, that's Matrix stuff, like building a physical, elaborate temple in 3D brick and mortar. I mean, that's Matrix. That's just keeping you in the Matrix. That's the complete opposite of what the real substance of the whole thing is. I mean, Sirius is the blazing star between the twin pillars. That's the left and right hemispheres of the brain. The blazing star Sirius is the third eye opening, which enables you to see past the matrix, the 3D matrix. And you know that a physical brick and mortar temple does not have substance. It's keeping you in I don't know. Maybe that is the message you're sending. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're putting out a positive vibration. Anything can be interpreted positively or negatively. I guess it depends how you interpret it. You may say, "Oh, if he didn't have a heart attack, it's fake." The reason they did it, maybe, who knows? Maybe it is positive, and I don't know. It's hard to believe. I don't know. Maybe it is positive. Who knows?
This Neil player, I find it interesting. He's going to be 107 square days old on December 7th.
Maybe the 49ers. Sirius is 49. O.J. Simpson went to the 49ers just for ritual reasons. He was shot at that point. O.J. Simpson, when he moved to it was only done for ritual reasons because he's a Sirius symbol. Now Dial and Neil is with the 49ers. Now 49 is significant too. Also, 49er has to do with gold. Solomon had 666 talents of gold. There's that gold connection through Solomon as well. And 666 is the magic square of the sun. The sum of all the squares of the magic square of the sun. 666 is related to the sun. Dial O'Neill is a Leo. He's the sun. And 666 is also, it's related to Solomon. He had 666 talents of gold. All these metaphors pretty much add up. I can see more and more why. I already did a decode on this, but I'm just a few more things I'm seeing here. Why? Siren? I keep calling him Dial. Siren. Sorry, Neil.
It should be easier to remember now since we've been talking about Sirius quite a bit. Siren. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that is about Sirius again, though. I mean, it's just like the Eagles coach is Sirianni, right?
Yeah.
But like the 107, this guy's 107. Like that's another like kind of 17 connection. But plus that's the 28 prime, of course. Israel equals 28. They were attacked on 10-7. So I don't know. Just I keep thinking more and more about that day.
Well, we just cracked the 3-hour mark with what Rambo just mentioned about the magic square of the sun. Cody, I apologize. I know you don't spend too much time on Instagram, so that's why like when I see something I want to share with you, I'll screenshot it and send it to you on Discord. But there was a big comeback in the NBA like 2 days ago. I tagged Rambo in it. He saw it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, definitely a sun cycle moon symbol." And I have an image for it. I will that I'll just pull up on my screen here. I don't remember if this was yesterday or the day before that, but check this out, dude. If anything, maybe we'll just pull up the 2-minute clip just showing. Just look at this, dude. This was crazy. There we go. I feel that pressure too. Every time I go to show my screen, I'm like, so that was typing. But yeah, dude, look at this. It was with 56 seconds left. The Suns were down 8. With 56 seconds left, they came back and won the game 114-113. And oh my God, dude, it just go, we could either watch it together. It's only last minute of the game. But look at this. Teams down 8 or more points in the final minute are 0-3,065 all time until this game. And of course, it was the Suns that come back and win. And who did they beat? They beat the Wolves, howling at the moon. The Wolves, Rambo, with the Sirius symbol, right? The star on top of the Wolves. The Wolves. Yeah. So a huge sun moon cycle ritual here.
They played tribute to that 8 last night too in the Panthers 49ers game, because you know how Bryce Young, the quarterback for the Panthers last night, he was 8 days old.
Wow.
And that's the same age that Marshawn Nealon was when he died. So, and the 888 is of course the analemma, the sun and the moon make a figure 8 shape, of course. And the player who caught Bryce Young's only touchdown in the game was player who was drafted 8 overall. And the guy on defense who starred, as I covered in today's stream, he was number 8. So he caught 2 interceptions. 8 caught 2 interceptions, like 2 eighths, right? 88. And then another thing about this, Bryce Young was the moon symbol because he was exactly 301 moon phases old yesterday. Well, anyone who knows about the Greek isosophy value of moon, it is 301. So that's how I knew it was a sun-moon symbol yesterday. Bryce Young was exactly 301 moon phases old, and that's the gematria isosophy of moon in Greek. Not to mention he's 8888 days. So yeah, this the same thing. This is the Suns beat the Wolves, like the sun and the moon.
And notice the final score. Holy smokes! This is one. Here's my cherry on top of this one. Look at the final score. The total points scored, 227 points. Pi? Anybody? 22 divided by 7 equals 3.14. Yeah, you guys know that. Just kind of reiterating, like, look at that. Total points scored 227. No team has ever come back down 8 plus points in the final minute of the game. There's been some crazy comebacks, but not down 8 with under a minute to go.
So the 365th day of the year this year, December 31st, it's a day that has 88 date numerology. I found that super interesting that the last day of the year in this year has 88 date numerology, which is kind of rare because if you look throughout the numerologies of the dates this whole year, I think that might be the only one, or there might be like 1 or 2 other days, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the last day of the year ends on the 88 date numerology, and it's the 365 day of the year. Because remember, the Golden Gate Bridge opened on 88 date numerology. And that's what I didn't show you guys. The Golden Gate Bridge yesterday on this ritual was 3-2, or what was it? 32322 days old. And Jim Carrey on the same day, again, I connected this to Sirius and the number 23. He was in that movie 23. He was 322 days old. So the bridge was 322, and Jim Carrey was 322. And remember, he was in the movie 23, and even in that movie, he talks about reversing the number 23 and 32. So something big went down yesterday with numbers that, got overlooked by a lot of people, but it was a big day with the bridge, San Francisco, Sirius. And when did this game happen?
I would have to double check. I don't remember. This was either yesterday or the day before. I mean,
so basically around the same time.
Yeah, this is very, very fresh.
So yeah, I mean, that's probably connected to that then with what I just shared, because this is like the same symbolism.
I almost see a Charlie Kirk thing in here because Charlie Kirk equals 105. So does Arizona. And they were at 105 before their comeback. And then they finished with 114 points. Kind of like LeBron James equals 114 and Charlie Kirk, his birthday, 10/14, right? And his memorial was in Arizona, wasn't it? But anyways, yeah, I mean, that's all I had, you guys. I mean, was there any kind of final topics, themes, or anything that we wanted to touch on? Shout out to the chat, by the way. You guys are freaking incredible.
Somebody's saying in the chat that 111 next year is 8 days after 9/11. So that's another one to watch. We're watching, of course, December 7th, but that day looks interesting too, of course. And remember, this is a big number because, again, Marshawn Nealon died at this age. And then this game with Bryce Young and the moon, sun, moon symbolism happened when he was that age. And then what was the other one? The shooter for Trump, who shot him in the ear, supposedly. His birthday was 9/20. What was it? 9/20. I hope Joseph's in the chat. 9/20/03 or something like that. Let me type that in. Kirk's birthday was 9/20/03. So his birthday coded the 4 8s. And think about it, 8/4, like 4 8s, 84.
I like that.
But yeah, there's definitely this symbolism with this number with Marshawn Nealon with Bryce Young last night, and then with the shooter. So I need to look into that more. And of course, remember Jesus in Greek equals 888, time traveler 888.
Joseph's here.
Oh, Joseph's here, yeah. But I obviously remembered it. I was just, if I didn't remember this date, I was going to ask him, but I got it. So, but yeah, thanks Joseph for this one. I think he was one of the ones who brought this to the table.
Yeah, I'm always blown away by the chat. Seriously.
I think that's all I got.
I mean, it goes back to what Rambo talks about, with his Discord, and I can attest to it. I mean, it's all about bringing, similar minds, but, there's only, a million eyes are better than two. Let's just put it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, that's all I'll say. I'll start my piece just closing out, thanking everybody. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe and the share wherever you guys see fit. We really appreciate it. It doesn't cost a thing. Please make sure to follow my fellow gents over here, Rambo the Truth Codes. Let me get the visual back up here just so folks can make sure they know where to find you in the off chance that there are some people out there that aren't familiar with KODI or Rambo. So love you guys so much and really appreciate it. I would really appreciate just a follow, a subscribe, or a like on the way out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's show. But KODI, I'll hand it off to you, brother, with any final remarks.
Yeah, just thank you again, AJ and Rambo. Thank you to everyone in the chat. It was another good stream. And if you guys want to find me, like again, most of you guys know where I'm at. Again, we will be streaming again on my channel next week on Tuesday because I will have reset my monthly hours. But the last two streams I didn't do on my channel because my hours are almost up. So, but yeah, look for us to be on Decoding with KODI next week, also this stream. And again, if you guys want to support the channel, buymeacoffee.com/decoding with KODI. And next week, I think we're going to be going live from now on at 9, right, guys? So just so everyone knows.
Yep, this is the first one. I could keep putting the ticker on, but then again, I did the ticker when we were still on the later show. But whatever helps, maybe I'll send a reminder to folks on the YouTube channel or something like that. But yeah. Anyways, thank you very much, KODI. Really appreciate you, man. Rambo,
Yeah,
close us out, my friend.
yeah. Thanks, KODI, and thanks, AJ. Again, it was another great show, and thanks to the contributors in the audience, and thanks for everybody who watched and all the supportive words. We're very appreciative. And yeah, that's where I can be found. Thanks, AJ, for promoting my channel. And yeah, there's so much to decode. When I make videos, it's such a painstaking process. I guess the written decodes they're quicker, but yeah, it's such a painstaking process. So yeah, I'll try to see if there's a way I can somehow make them faster. I don't know how, but because there's so many topics and just not enough time to I have so much information in my head and in my notes, and things are happening, new stories are coming out. But for all those who subscribe, I thank you, and thank again AJ, KODI, and the audience. And see you next week for hopefully another great show. Absolutely. Lots to look forward to. Don't forget, you guys, if LeBron's playing tonight, I think, KODI, you confirmed that with me. As long as LeBron was playing tonight, I'm going to double check. If he even logged 1 minute today, I want to take a look at if that's the case. But if he did, I don't want to delay the show any farther. But if he did, keep an eye on Friday. Keep an eye on Friday. Can you guys hear me okay? I can hear you. Okay, something just happened. Anyways, keep an eye on Friday. That would be LeBron James's 1566th regular season game. So keep an eye out for that. Lots more to look forward to. Thank you guys both so much. True blessing to have you guys in my corner. And my goodness, probably an even bigger blessing is just all of the followers that are congregating and adding amazing contributions to the show every week. So thank you guys so much.
I hope all of you guys have a very safe and happy Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy the time off of work. And we really appreciate you all. And we'll see you guys next week at the earlier time. Until next time, folks. Peace.
See you.
Just hanging around. Jack bruv. Grim bloke. 8892. If you didn't know, forever exploring the interdimensional.